God damn it, YouTube! I can't believe you would do this! You heard nothing. Shields up, Ironbreakers. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully you're all doing good. And hopefully we can improve on that with lots and lots of Monster Hunter banter. Bro, it's gonna be insane. I am super curious about what is gonna be happening today. Because this is going to be, as far as my understanding, this is going to be the community team. So that's going to be Joe and Jono, I think. That's going to be Joe and Jono, and they're going to be telling us the feedback that, the response to the feedback that we've been given the team during the community beta. You guys remember, you know, we gave a lot of feedback. We made a lot of videos. I personally made at least 2 videos that I consider to be of particular importance. That was the focus mode and the insect glaive. Those were my 2 biggest pieces of feedback, I feel. The rest of it, I'm like, I think it's pretty good all around. The hit stop has also made its way into the feedback as well. We already know about that. Fulminus, thank you very much for being grossing at us for a full year. Tip of the hat. Appreciate support. Thank you. Now, one of the things that I'm super concerned about right now, my biggest concern is friendly fire, but that seems to be like, that's already done and dusted. Like, I don't think we're getting friendly fire back. That's actually something that I'm curious. Let's ask you guys here, because I've seen a lot of contradictory opinions when it comes to this. So let's go ahead. Do you, how should I phrase this? Friendly fire. Keep it, drop it. Yeah, that works. Friendly fire. Keep it, drop it. Because this, I feel, is something that the community is currently divided on, and we should talk about it a little bit. And that's not to say that there's a wrong opinion, by the way. I have firm belief that I think that friendly fire is better. Obviously, there's a lot of people that feel differently, and I think that's fine. What do we have in here? Yami Florence, thank you very much for being with us, guys. 43 months. Tip of the hat. Appreciate support. This Tummy Giggles, thank you very much for the souls. Tip of the hat. Appreciate support. Who'd win in a fight between Joe No and Joe Yes? You have this one coming, Mr. Tummy Giggles. Joe Mama. Got him! Friggin' got him, dude! Oh man, I got him so good. I got him so good in that one. Oh, man. Well, there is friendly fire between monsters, so it does make sense to keep it consistent. Yeah, because, like, if there's friendly fire between monsters, why can't there be friendly fire between hunters? We're not even hurting each other. So, yeah, keep it flinch-free as a skill. True. Rolls eyes at Ruri. Hey, it is what it is. Grown-ass man, by the way. That I'm a child. I have no idea what you're talking about. Let me turn on the lights. I forgot to turn on the lights. Give me a second. This is one of the consequences of being a natural light enjoyer. Sometimes Mother Nature doesn't cooperate. So right before I started the stream, the light outside was more than enough to keep everything well lit. And then the second I turned on the camera, it's like, overcast, baby! We got that good overcast for you! Yay! Give me a second here. Bro, telemarketers. I swear to God, they wait until I start my stream. They're like watching my channel, waiting for me to start my stream. They go, sir, would you like to upgrade your insurance? It's like, no, dude, of course not. It's prediction time, guys. Give us something. I think that they're going to act on the feedback that we have given, at least in terms of focus mode. Like, a lot of people were very quick to point out that the stuff that I showed in focus mode was actually not an accurate representation of what was happening, which I'm like, what do you mean? I'm literally showing it to you in the game with mouse and keyboard and with controller. It's like, what do you mean? It's not an accurate representation. I didn't edit the video. It was literally recorded in real time. So it was weird, but yeah, I think they're going to act on that because I think that focus mode needs to be ubiquitous in a way that it makes sense for both controller and mouse and keyboard. I'm not sure how they're going to fix it, but that's like one of the big things that I want to see. Naturally, they're probably going to address hit stop, which has already been addressed in the interviews that we have done. I do not think that there is going to be a new trailer. As a matter of fact, I think that they confirmed that there were no new trailers, but I'm not sure. But I wouldn't expect a new trailer. I think that the point of this particular presentation is community feedback, but I don't know. As for potential demo announcements, I have no idea. But I think it would make sense to have another demo in January. I think that makes sense because around January is going to be, you know, right before the game comes out, get people a little bit hyped up ahead of the game. So the people that didn't get a chance to try out the game last time, or the people that had hardware problems last time, they might potentially be improving performance because we have heard reports from the people that were at the recent event, and they said that performance was better. So that might be another shot at them showing that, even though I didn't expect that to happen. Because, you know, according to the research that I've done in terms of like what you can expect from improvements in a beta version and how much time should they spend optimizing the beta version versus actually optimizing the main branch of the game. It kind of, you know, them optimizing a beta and then putting a new beta out there kind of goes against my research, but I could be wrong. It is what it is. These are all theories. When is this presentation? Do I have time to get lunch beforehand? The presentation's at the top of the hour, so yes, you have time to go get lunch, Ketnet. They will announce a Monster Hunter Wilds PlayStation 5. What are you talking about focus mode? I found it fun and felt great in mouse and keyboard. Yeah, of course. On controller, it's a little bit more inconsistent. So, for instance, certain weapons are able to turn using the left stick while you're using focus mode during certain actions, and a lot of the weapons you're not. Which means that usually if you want to really min-max, you're looking at crazy claw grips, and like these other weird-ass grips of like, oh, put your left thumb on the right stick and doing all these crazy shenanigans. And with mouse and keyboard, it's just way more efficient. So my suggestion was that whenever a combat input does not have a directional input, I suggested that it should allow you to turn your character using the left stick, and it can even be a setting. But again, this was my suggestion. I don't actually know if they're acting on that, but I hope that that is one of the things, because that's like one of the bigger things. The other thing is obviously the NSEC Glaive, the way that the controls work in NSEC Glaive when you're using gamepad, because it's very, very frustrating. I can't stay away from Gemma any longer. It is what it is, brother. Give me the demo. Hey, Animation Warrior. But yeah, guys, by the way, if you're enjoying the stream, if you're having a good time, do remember you can hit the like button. Helps us out immensely. Thank you very, very much. Morning from East Texas. What a nice place. Gyro aim solves your issue. It doesn't. I'm sorry, but it doesn't, Vaza Rolnick. Gyro aiming does not solve the problem. Unless you put gyro aiming on like some ridiculous sensibility where even if you just like nudge the control a little bit, it'll turn like 180 degrees. Unless you do that, like, I understand what you're saying. And by the way, I'm a big gyro supporter. I'm a huge fan of gyro. But the other reason why gyro can't be the solution is because there's people playing the game with controllers that don't have gyro. Like, so you're saying gyro solves your problem. Okay, I guess Xbox players can go pound sand then, because Xbox players don't have gyro. So it's still a problem. So gyro is not the solution. It can help, it can mitigate the issue a little bit, but it is not the solution. So it's, and even on PC, right? If using an Xbox controller on PC, again, you don't have gyro. If you're using the controller that I use, which is this one, you don't have gyro. Even though this controller has gyro, Windows is a piece of trash, so it does, you need to do like some... You need to basically go through a flaming circle in a circus with a, you know, a lion tamer whipping you in the ass in order to get this thing to do gyro on PC, and I'm not willing to jump through a flaming hoop with a lion tamer whipping me in the ass in order to get it to work. If you plug a DualSense directly through USB, then gyro works. If you plug a DualShock directly through... Actually, I think the DualShock might even work wirelessly. But, like, there's conditions to getting gyro to work properly on PC, and it's very, very frustrating. I would probably need to take time off. I'll want to play Wilds and watch Rurikhan streams without getting spoiled beforehand. Yeah, tell me about it. Windows makes me cry. Rurikhan, can you show us your best controller for PC? I'm gonna be real. Like, this is okay. It's very convenient because this is the 8-bit DOE Ultimate. This is kind of my daily driver right now. This is okay, and it's convenient because it comes with this thing, which is like a dock. So basically, whenever you put this thing in, it automatically turns off the controller and charges it. Whenever you take it out, it automatically pairs with your PC. Very, very convenient. The dock itself also acts as a USB connection. The controller comes preset. It's a very out-of-the-box solution that works phenomenally. The problem is, again, you don't have access to gyro. So if you want to have access to gyro and the haptics of the PlayStation controller, you might want to get a DualSense and plug that in through USB. The thing is, I don't like wires on the controller, which is weird, because everything else on PC, I like having it wired. Like my phones, these are wired. My mouse, it's wired. Like everything on my computer is wired. Controllers, for some reason, I don't like having them wired. I don't like the feeling of the wire. I don't like it. I like controllers to be wireless. It's the one thing. So this is one of the best out-of-the-box solutions. It's the 8-bit DOE Ultimate 2.4 gigs. It's pretty good. It's not perfect. It's pretty good. And it's probably one of the better PC controllers. But again, if you want the haptics or the gyro, the DualSense is going to do you better. D-Day Direwolf, thank you very much for becoming gross incandescent. Tip of the hat, appreciate the support. I know that a lot of people swear by the Xbox controller. It's not really my jam. I got nothing against it, but it's not really my jam. Can verify 8-bit DOE controller is excellent on PC. Yeah. I use PS4 controllers on my PC. Don't really like the PS5 one. On my PC at home, I use a PS4 as well. But interestingly enough, I use the PS4 with an 8-bit DOE dongle. So even on my other computer, I use an 8-bit DOE dongle to connect my PlayStation controller. So yeah. For that controller, you need to use Switch mode on PC for gyro. Yeah, I know. There's like you have to go through like, whatchamacallit, Bluetooth mode as opposed to using wireless mode. But wireless mode is just so much more solid. Dramatic Concrete, thank you very much for becoming grossly incandescent. Tip of the hat. Appreciate support. Thank you. I hate playing wireless since it dies on me mid-session. Well, unless you're doing 13-hour sessions, this bad boy will do you. I usually don't play more than 10 hours in a row, give or take. There's usually a break in between. And even if there is a break in between, I do have like a cable to plug in a DualSense, so I also have that as a backup. Rurikhan is dongle. Don't be shaming my dongle now. So we're looking at this poll, and we are at 74% of people keep the friendly fire, which is interesting that they remove the friendly fire. And every time that I ask people their opinions on it, an overwhelming majority is in favor of keeping the friendly fire. Although obviously there's going to be a certain bias from you guys because you're going to be influenced by me somehow because that's my view on it. But yeah, I'm really not a fan of them removing the friendly fire. I'm wondering if they'll address that today because it has been a bit of a point of contention. Are you sure we are not bubble biased? That's literally what I just said. There's going to be a bias in my community, absolutely, yeah. Most of us are old hunters, so we want friendly fire, yeah. Influenced by longsword hater, not a chance, yeah. Do you think they'll show anything performance related? I don't know if they'll show it, but I'm 99% sure they'll talk about it because it was one of the biggest pieces of feedback from the beta. I feel like that was the biggest. If there was like the biggest pieces of feedback that people received from the beta, I would say that performance was number 1, hit stop was probably number 2, and insect glaive was likely number 3. This is what I would say was the majority of feedback from my perception that they've gotten from the beta. The origami monsters. The origami monsters are directly linked to performance because it is caused because of the fact that there are performance problems because the game wasn't like super well optimized. I'm glad they removed it. I don't like people purposely hitting people, especially at the end of hunts. You can't hit people out of carves. This has been patched out since very early. It was like the first patch of base Monster Hunter World. They literally patched that out. And like people hitting other people at the end of hunts, personally I've always found it fun, but I can understand that some people don't like that aspect of the hunt. But yeah, and here's where I'm at when it comes to friendly fire. You want to remove friendly fire? Fine. Hell, you can even have that be the default. But give us an option for the lobby leader to turn it on. And then it's up to you. It's like you join the lobby and you see his friendly fire on. Okay, I don't want to be a part of this lobby, and you can leave and you can go find another one. But at least it gives us an option for those of us that actually want to engage with friendly fire, because I will be running my lobbies. If I'm given the option, all of my lobbies would be run with friendly fire on every single time. I miss hitting people while they carved. Hitting people while they carved is annoying because people might miss out on carves. So yeah, I don't think you should be able to hit people out of carving. But I do think that you should be able to hit people after a hunt, and you should be able to hit people during a hunt. And obviously, if you find somebody in the community who's an asshole, there's always the option of just leaving the lobby. You just leave the lobby, go to another one. It's like, oh, there's an asshole here that keeps bonking me and sending me flying. I'm not having fun. Leave the lobby, go to another one. That's the way that I look at it, but that's the way that I've always looked at multiplayer video games, even long before I was a content creator. Like, I would do a lot of lobby-based multiplayer, whether this is like for Diablo 2 all the way back in the day, to World of Warcraft, to all of this stuff. Whenever I would get placed in a party where there was somebody there that I wasn't enjoying interacting with, I'd just be like, well, I'm not having fun. Deuces. See y'all later, have a good time, enjoy yourselves, whatever the fuck you want to do, none of my business, and I'd go and I'd find another group to do whatever activity I wanted to do. I've always had this mentality. So that's why sometimes whenever people tell me, well, I don't like it when people do this to me. Okay, you can, it's a multiplayer video game, you can leave and join another group. I think it's a big deal. Old Hunter, Freedom Unite, and I don't want friendly fire back. That's fine, Raiden X. Thank you very much for the souls. Tip of the hat. Appreciate support. Like I said, there are people that don't want it back. And I think that's a perfectly valid stance to have, which is why I said, okay, take it away, turn it off by default, give us the option to have a lobby with it on. I think that's fair. Does anybody think that that's not fair? Like, giving me the option to run my lobbies with friendly fire on? What purpose does hitting the other players have? So you have to look at it as a tactical thing. It promotes tactical positioning. So, for instance, me being able to Wyvern fire a monster, and let's say Wada's next to me doing his Charge Blade shenanigans, and I'm sitting next to Wada, and I charge up my Wyvern fire, and I'm able to hit the monster with the Wyvern fire without hitting Wada, and Wada still doing like his Charge Blade shenanigans without me interrupting his flow. That is an expression of skill. I think that not everything that removes friction is a bad thing, because you can make the argument where it's like, okay, so friendly fire is annoying, all right? So is sharpening. Sharpening's annoying, and that's already getting like a lot of friction removed. Like if you actually think about it, we've lost a lot of friction to the act of sharpening. Because right now, I can literally sharpen when there's a minuscule opening to the monster, and I can cancel that sharpening animation and still get value out of it. So we've already removed tons of friction from sharpening as well, right? Then you also can start thinking, well, having to eat meat, that's annoying. You know, you have to stop hunting, gotta go eat meat because my stamina is low. So annoying. You can remove that too. And if we start going down this list and remove sharpening, remove, eating meat, we've already removed hot and cold drinks in Rise and Sunbreak, even though I think they're making a return for this one. But you can start removing all of these simulation elements, and the ultimate distillment of this, because if you think back even to the beta, what was another one of the big complaints that people have? Monsters run too much. Okay, let's just have monsters not run. There's just one arena, you go in there, you wail on the monster until it dies, he can't run away. That's the most convenient way of killing things. So you keep taking away a lot of these elements of Monster Hunter that kind of are what create the Monster Hunter experience. And I personally feel that you're going to end up with a blander game. Why hunt the monster? Just give me the drops. Yeah. This is the way that I look at it. And again, I'm not saying that I'm right, but this is the way that I look at it, and I don't like seeing a lot of the inconveniences being taken away. Raiden X, thank you very much for the souls. Tip of the hat. Appreciate support. Thank you. I like the realism. I'd argue the friction from sharpening makes it more realistic. Your knives don't get fully sharp when you're done sharpening. You can stop halfway and they're half done. Yeah, but it's still removing friction. That's the point that I'm saying. We're constantly removing more and more friction. Do you feel the same way about tracking? Absolutely. I hated that there was no tracking in Rise and Sunbreak. It's like, yep, the Kahoot knows exactly where the monster is at all times. It's like a radar. The Kahoot is essentially a radar system that has real-time tracking of whatever the monster does. And I'm just like, well, that's... And that's what's going to happen in this one, too. Because you're going to track the monster the first time, and after that, the tracking system is basically gone for that specific monster. So you're going to have tracking, but only the first time that you hunt a monster. And then after that, at least that's my understanding, you're never going to have to track again. Which I actually preferred the middle ground of Monster Hunter World, which was, you have to track the monsters a couple of times before you can kind of say, okay, we've hunted this monster down. I don't know how many times it was, but we've hunted this monster down 10 times. We know enough about how this monster operates, so now we don't have to track it quite as aggressively. I actually think that might have been one of the best ways that they've done it. Behemoth King, thank you very much for the souls. Tip of the hat, appreciate support. Wilds has been filled with toggles and options. I feel that that's the solution. Just let us choose for ourselves. If we get launched, that's on us. I think it should be chosen on a lobby level and not on a player level. I think on a lobby level is makes more sense. The paintballs in this game are a ping system, yes. They're not doing the same stuff that paintballs were doing in the older games. Having played a bit of World, the Rise Break, and now repelling Velkhana, the first time tracking is way more enjoyable. What do you mean? Tracking the monster multiple times? But if you mess up, you're not the one suffering the consequences, it's others. While it's an expression of skills, it's at the expense of others. Exactly. It's a team game. Like, you've ever seen a team sport? Like, if somebody else on the team makes a mistake, the whole team suffers. That's the definition of a team game. See, what I feel like sometimes when we argue this, it almost feels like I just want to do my damage. I just want to do my thing, and I don't have to worry about anybody else. And it's like, well, if you don't want to have to worry about anybody else, why are you playing with other people? You can just play by yourself. Hell, you can even summon the support hunters now, so you can like pretend that you're on a team without having to worry about anybody else. I think that when you're in a multiplayer setting, I've always looked at multiplayer co-op games as like, how can I strategize with the people that I'm playing with to have a better experience? And it's like, whenever you start taking certain strategic elements away, I feel like that's just people going, I don't care about other people. I feel like that's almost a little bit selfish in a way. Yeah, learn to work together. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Remember paintballing Chameleus in the other games? It stops working, right, when he goes invisible? So we can kill the monsters faster, not be hit by them? This is the equivalent to complain about others carding in multiplayer. Why not play single player at that point? Yeah. Not gonna lie, most of these problems are for teams. I do play a lot solo, but even like that, having things removed is less stuff to do to the point where there's no reason to even play. I think they just disabled friendly fire because of the wound system. How does the wound system... Oh, because somebody's going for a wound and they get interrupted? See, again, that's a part of skill expression, which is something that I've also mentioned. If you take away friendly fire, you give players even less of a reason to cooperate, which means, for instance, if I'm in a team and there's an insect glaive user there, well, I'm like, why do I care? Like, it doesn't matter. None of this matters. Whether or not I hit them, I don't hit them, who cares? There's a wound there, I'm taking it. I go in with my Drake Auger, just like start drilling in on the monster, and then it's like the insect glaive user goes, hey man, my extracts. Yeah, it's too bad. Charge blade user goes, hey man, my savage axe. What do you mean? It's like, yep, don't care. Gunlance go brrr, right? Because again, I don't know. I feel like I'm getting a little bit too preachy, and I don't want to go too far down that line. It's just I'm being egged on by you guys that are constantly saying, but what about this? What about this? And it's like, look, this is the way that I feel about friendly fire. Anyway, I'm gonna end the poll. Majority of people always end up voting for keeping it, so yeah. I'm a great sword main. I always adjust my approach according to how my teammates engage monsters. Yeah, I think that there's a push and pull when you're playing a team game. But this also comes back from my experiences back from World of Warcraft. I would always change things based on my team. Like, I remember at one point we were fighting Sindragosa, and we were very low geared, and I was doing off-tank things. And I remember that our main tank was having a really tough time surviving some of the tank busters of Sindragosa. So in order to make everybody's job easier, I respect my warrior to have intervene. And so what I would do is when a big tank buster would show up, I would intervene and I would take the damage instead of the main tank, because I wouldn't be taking damage throughout the fight anyways. So I'd be going in to help the main tank deal with the tank busters. And this is not a strategy that anybody else was doing. No, none of the top teams, at least as far as I can remember, none of the top teams rating at the time would be intervening the main tank in the Sindragosa fight. But I was like, I'll do it because this helps us and it's fine. So I would always be, doing things in the name of the team. And to me, that's always been the point of, playing in a team. You're playing to the strengths and weaknesses of your own team, and you're adapting to do that. And the more you take away these friction points that give you rewards for playing correctly within a team, I just feel like the experience gets distilled down to where it's not as entertaining. But yeah, other than that, I think that performance has been a big issue. What do you guys think? Because like we've heard that performance is better, but I know that a lot of people are still hesitant about it. So let's get a poll on that too. Do you think performance will be better? Do you guys think that the performance is going to be significantly better than what it was in the beta? This is just to get a vibe check on you guys, because I have my own suspicions, but we'll see. They did it with Dauntless. They made it so that blunt weapons could cut monster tails and kill your sort of team tape. I mean, Dauntless made a lot more errors besides that. Let's just put it like that, right? Going from his Gamescom to beta to recent previews, performance will be much better. We'll see. Man, we are very optimistic considering the feedback that I received on my performance video. I'm surprised that we are being very, very, very optimistic. The poll is currently sitting at 89%. Do I have a chat window for this? Let me see. Is this... oh, I do have a chat window here. I wonder where this chat window is placed. Let's bring up chat. I haven't used the chat window in here in a very long time, so I have no idea what this is going to look like. Oh, there it is. That's not so bad. I'll put you guys over here. There. Hi, YouTube. I just got myself a new CPU, a few more parts, and I'll be ready for Wilds. Hells yeah. Optimism dies last. Hey, Wongfam. Keep friendly fire. There should be a penalty to the player causing it too. Sure. Don't trust the guild. Also, hi, Mom. Here comes Gaijin. Gaijin has finally accepted what I've been saying for years. You finally accepted it, Gaijin. You've accepted that the guild is dark. The guild is very dark. So, Gaijin, when are we recording, dude? When are we recording a podcast? He has it the other way around. I always thought the guild was dark. Ah, you say that now. You say that now. We know the truth. It's the monster sympathizer. The guild's trying to put 5G chips on us. Get those Shungite stones! The Shungite! Guys, we need the Shungite to shield us from the 5G. Oh. Do you have a tinfoil hat to tip us when you start talking about the Dark Guild? You have no idea. You have no idea. The guild's been creating the equal dragon weapon this whole time. Monster Hunter 5G. I mean, isn't that World Iceborne? World Iceborne would be Monster Hunter 5G. Look up the Red Scarlet Man, stuff like that. Yeah, I remember that. He's the one that always talks about the coming of Fatalis and whatnot. And he's always doing like shady. I've seen a video on that. I forget who made that one. But yeah, I've seen the video on the Scarlet Man. Equal Dragon mention, absolutely. Get us an Ace Attorney crossover where the guild's getting sued for malpractice and misinformation. Oh, man. He has mentioned the encyclopedia as well as on the chapter talking about the compiled notes of Fatalis. Red Scarf Man is just red from Pokemon. Yeah. I just want a demo, please, Capcom. Like I said, I think a demo in January makes sense. Although they might do a demo for the holidays. Everybody's going to have like free time during the holidays. That would make sense. It would be like, hey, here's a Christmas gift. So Thursday night, y'all get to play Monster Hunter. Thursday night would be the 25th, right? Thursday night would be the 25th. So yeah, I think that would make sense. Premieres in 3 minutes? Oh, it's because they're gonna do a 15-minute countdown. They're probably gonna do a 15-minute countdown. Because I think it's supposed to start at 2. Don't make them work on Christmas. They wouldn't have to. They turn the servers on and everybody's happy. Yeah, I visited the village for cheese. Moss on the World crossover with Final Fantasy XIV. How about a crossover with Elden Ring? Elden Ring Night Reign's coming out. Plenty of stuff that they could do there. Christmas is not a holiday here. Okay. Oh, right. You guys just have like KFC on Christmas, right? That's like, I think that's a Japanese thing. That during Christmas, y'all just have KFC. So most of you guys are optimistic about them fixing performance issues. That makes me happy. That makes me very happy. Let me hunt Madeira and Calamite. Bro, I would actually like to hunt Madeira in Monster Hunter. I would bully Madeira in Monster Hunter, dude. I would bully him, and then I would say, remember how you would run all across the map? And now I can just abuse you because I have a sacred to run after you, you piece of trash. Worst From Software boss ever. Bro, I don't ever want to see Madeira ever again. Unless they give me... Actually, you know what? In Night Rain, it would be interesting if they bring Madeira back in Night Rain because we're going to be running at the speed of light. Not... In Night Rain, Madeira's not going to be like, ha, I'm flying to the other edge of the map. It's like, no, Madeira. No, you ain't. Because I can run after you and beat the snot out of you. He will return in Night Rain for sure. Madeira was cool. Nah, bro. I hated Madeira. But then again, the weapon that I had, it wouldn't work properly for Madeira, so whatever. Nameless King is interesting that they put Nameless King on there. Are we getting another open beta demo? We do not know. I know about Worst. He ain't all that, but yes, purely Revenger wish on my part. Yeah, bring Madeira back. I want to beat his ass. I want to beat his ass with a gun lance. Bro, I would have my revenge on Madeira so bad with a gun lance. Because again, it's not even because he's hard. He's just annoying. He's like a gnat, you know? Like you go to get him and he just runs away. Just blame the weapon. It's not my fault that the weapon couldn't even hit his head. I'm actually curious what premiere they're gonna go for. I'm very curious what premiere that they chose. Oh God! No! No, not the default one! Capcom, no! The default premiere! From Software, bring Artorias back and my life is yours. Ark, thank you very much for the souls. Tip of the hat, appreciate the support, thank you. Bro, the default YouTube premiere. RIP! It's 1 minute at least. It's not going... This is going to be a countdown. Let me tell you right now, I'm going to give you guys the Giga Chat prediction. The moment this thing ends, there's going to be a 15-minute countdown afterwards. You want to bet? You want to bet that there's a 15-minute countdown? How much you guys want to bet? Look, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 15 minutes countdown. Bro, I should play the fucking lotto. I mean, it's obvious. It was obvious from the get-go. Come on now. Oh, man. I knew it. Countdown to the countdown, pre-watched. I mean, it was obvious. Their stuff always starts at the top of the hour. Every single time. It always starts at the top of the hour. I predicted the countdown last night. Yep. 15 minutes. Hint for the 15th weapon. Cope. That is some giga cope amounts, dude. Replanted by Capcom. Absolutely, I'm a Capcom plant. It's me. Rurikhan has insider info. Yes, he was just collecting money with the bet. Yes, I have all the insider info. I know everything. Literally everything that is happening. Obviously, I don't. Tonfa Gaming. Giant boomerang. Pre-launch update. We have to wait for a pre-launch countdown, pre-launch inception. Free is the info. Yes, it is me. It is I. Ruri, CEO of Capcom all along. Ruri 5 Jesus Christ. I have more than a 5 head. Look at this. If I cover the little bit of hair that I have, I'm Johnny friggin' Sins with glasses. Insect gaming time. Wish I could do Fru. What the hell is Fru? Free Them Unite? Oh no, it's the something ultimate. Ruri, when are we gonna get the MC6? 2028. I'm calling it. Devil May Cry 6, 2028. Guaranteed. You can put money in it. Futures Rewritten Ultimate. Yep. Sir, who is Johnny Sins? We don't talk about that. I shouldn't have brought that up. God damn it. It's in my mind recently because for some reason it popped up in my feed a video where Johnny Sins was doing a cameo for Ludwig. I was like, that's so weird. You're not calling it, you're leaking it. Exactly. I never call anything, I just leak things, because I already know. When are we getting the Dragons 2 DLC? I have bad news. Music way too loud? No, it's not. Is the music loud, guys? It might be a little bit. It's because this particular music has like big beats. Boom, boom, boom. You have the Japan stream on another tab? Yeah, you do. I was like, dude, there's no way my music is too loud. I can see the levels right there. There is music, but it's very soft right now because it's the tent music. Ruri, what's Monster Hunter's next expansion? It is called Monster Hunter Wilds Frontier. Trust. I'm just like saying random nonsense. If any of this becomes true, I will never live it down. No podcast until I 100% Infinity Nikki, by the way. Isn't Infinity Nikki a gacha? Guys, Third Fleet podcast is over. And by the way, guys, next Third Fleet podcast will have an Infinity Nikki segment. It's an MMO, bro. My understanding is that it was a gacha. I don't know what Infinity Nikki actually is. It's a gacha, don't let him fool you. There you go. Nikki is the butt game? No, it's a fashion game. Outer Wilds vibes from the music. Dude, the music in this game is so good. I don't know if it's something about when you get older, but I feel like as you start getting older, at least I started appreciating good soundtracks way more. Like, Monster Hunter Wild soundtrack is fire. Path of Exile 2 soundtrack is fire. Like, you know? And then there was Veilguard. I don't even remember what the soundtrack for Veilguard was. It's an MMO with gacha, of course. Gaijin, you should be playing Path of Exile. You would get lost in that skill tree. Like, let me show Gaijin. I'm gonna show you something, okay? I'm gonna show you something. Gaijin, check this out. This is the Path of Exile 2 skill tree, Gaijin. See, now this is a skill tree, okay? This right here is what we call a skill tree. Chief Hellhunter, thank you very much for the souls. Tip of the hat. Appreciate support. Thank you. The Skill Galaxy. Bro, I love this game. I'm so addicted. Woo! I'm brutally addicted to that game, dude. That's no better than gacha. It's free to play, but you can't actually buy anything that gives you an advantage in game. The only thing they sell you is stash tabs. Bro, we don't want another Gaijin YouTube hiatus, lol. No, Gaijin wouldn't get into Path of Exile 2 because it has too much humanoid on humanoid violence. Gaijin, you're saying you're playing a free-to-play game too, almost as if I've criticized you playing Open Nikki. I've never criticized this. I've never said it's bad you're playing Open Nikki. What do you mean apologize? Apologize for what? I think it's great you're playing Infinity Nikki. Have fun. What do you mean? I don't understand. I don't understand where this hostility is coming from. It's a gacha game. Yeah, the only reason I said it's a gacha is because you said we can't do a Third Fleet podcast until you finish the game. And I was like, you don't finish gacha games. You can't 100% gacha games. That's the whole point of gacha games. There's always another poll. That's the only reason I brought up it being a gacha. I wasn't talking down on it. What do you mean? I did not talk down on it at all. Come on now. That's unreasonable. I never talked down to it. I said it's a fashion game. It's a gacha game. It doesn't have, as far as I understand, it doesn't have combat. It has minigames. I think that's fine. Admit it, you were? What's... I'm being gaslit! Ruri and Gaijin divorce. Why are you being so defensive? Oh my god, Ruri said it was a Gooner game? What? The absolute lies! Do a poll. Who took it as a slight? Okay. Alright. Did I badmouth Infinity Nikki? Of course, now everybody's gonna do the meme vote. Everybody's gonna do the meme vote. Chat, be honest! Be honest about this. The memes. The memes, there it is. I divorced him once already in Final Fantasy XIV. No, let's not lie about this, Gaijin. You didn't divorce me. You cheated on me. You literally just married somebody else. There's no divorce. I still have the ring. I have the ring that says we're married, and I have the chocobo too. You cheated on me. I threw away my ring. I thought we had something special. The game makes you give it back. imagine, like, I threw that shit away because I had to. Oh my god, dude. I love this. This is so much fun. I'm sorry. I'm just having so much fun. I was sick of an absent husband. It's like, listen, honey, Papa's got to go make content. Papa's got to make content. And, you know, it is what it is. Sips tea, typical Ruri. Hey, I never divorced Gaijin, okay? He left me. That's all I have to say about that. I am serious. You were negative about Nikki, and I don't forgive that. I'm not joking. I generally don't remember being negative about Nikki. I just said it was a gotcha. I wasn't saying it's a gotcha, like, in a negative tone. There's just usually an inherent negative connotation to it being a gotcha. Main reason why I even said it was a gotcha is because you said you wouldn't record until you 100%ed it. And I brought up it being a gotcha, as in you can't 100% it. So, Third Fleet Podcast is over. For a meme vote, I think you can take 45 as a win. Gronal, thank you very much for the soul tip of that. So what Gronal is saying is I can just say that I win even though I didn't. No, okay, look. A lot of people took what I said about Infinity Nikki as a slight, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to apologize. I'm sorry you felt that way. It was not my intention. I am sorry. It was a dismissive groan, eye roll, and throwaway when you said, the gotcha game. An eye roll? Make an apology video. Yeah, I'm gonna do one of those videos. It's like, guys, no, it needs to start with the side. It goes like, I didn't really want it to make this video. I've made a mistake. I was unfair to Infinity Nikki, and yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to take some time away from social media to think about what I've done. I want to focus on my family and friends. And yeah, guys, I don't know what to say. Like, just say I'm sorry I offended you. Mr. Beast. Jesus Christ. Oh, man. Okay, let me pause my background music here. Whoa! That's a bit loud. We are now on official audio. Where's the ukulele? For a proper sorry video where we should play Nikki on stream for 8 hours. No, I'll tell you what. I'll play Path of Exile 2 for 8 hours, and I'll put like a picture of Nikki Infinity somewhere in there. How about that? Hell, I'll make a VTuber avatar based on Infinity Nikki, and then play Path of Exile 2 with an Infinity Nikki VTuber avatar. That sounds like a hassle. Okay, guys, 30 seconds. Get ready. Get ready. You shouldn't promise that. I didn't. I'm joking. It's a big joke. VTuber avatar, I got you. Ark will make the VTuber avatar. Douglas Keener, thank you very much for becoming grossly incandescent. Tip of the hat. Appreciate support. Okay, let's max out the volume. Let's see what's going on. Rest of the shoutouts I will do after.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Monster Hunter Wilds pre-launch
Jono,
community
Patrick,
update.
Joe,
My
and
name's
Yuya
Jono,
Tokuda.
EME manager on Monster
Let's
Hunter.
go!
Hey, everybody, I'm Joe. I'm the Capcom USA community manager on Monster Hunter. And welcome to our broadcast, which, for the very first time, will be bilingual in English and Japanese, which is a brand new concept for us. So we hope you enjoy it. And you'll probably not be surprised to find out why we're having it in English and Japanese, because as you can see, we have two very special guests with us. We have Monster Hunter Wilds director Yuya Tokuda, as well as Patrick from Capcom Europe, who will be translating for us.
Patrick is a goat, and Yuya is also
great to have you guys. Thank you so much for coming.
Two goats.
Now, Joe,
and
we've
the
introduced
community
our
managers as well.
Guests. We've
Love
said
everybody
hello,
here.
But
Love
why
them all.
are we here today? Yeah, today is a really special stream. Again, we have some special guests here joining us, and we would like to share a sincere thank you to everybody out there who participated in the open beta test that we held at the end of October. And today we're going to be spending some time talking about how a lot of the feedback from that open beta has influenced the development of the main game. So just to kind of recap, the open beta was held with a couple of goals. The first, I think the most obvious one is we were able to give everybody a chance to play the game. It's new hunting experience, new game, and it was great seeing everybody's responses. But the second part of that was really to test the different technology that's in the game, things like network load and game operation. So it was really great to see everybody's feedback and responses, but the team has really been working on the full game separately and making a lot of improvements and adjustments. And again, we just want to share thanks to everybody for sharing your feedback either through social media, our official survey, or through different places online. And while a lot of that feedback covered some known issues and things that we originally already planned to address in the final version of the game, a lot of the feedback actually covered some bugs and things that the team was not aware of or didn't intend to fix. So it was extremely helpful. And some of those fixes and adjustments are now prioritized for the final game, thanks to your feedback. And we're going to talk about a lot of that today. Jana, we actually had a round of previews go live recently, right? And that actually had some details that we're going to discuss today.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And the community response to that was fantastic. So if you have seen the previews, you will recognize some of the content in today's broadcast, but there is so much more. And on top of that as well, this stream is an opportunity for the development team to speak directly to you, to introduce even more and clarify what you may have seen in the previews as well. But please do keep in mind that this isn't fully comprehensive. There's even more adjustments to the final game beyond what you will see here today.
Yeah, we're not going to read patch
may not
notes.
necessarily be final and is, of course, always subject to change. Now, obviously, now we've covered that. Let's talk about our guests. Obviously, having director Yuya Tokuda here is so much fun. And Patrick will be doing the Japanese to English, so you'll be hearing a lot of them both. So Tokuda-san, what would you like to say to everyone before we get stuck in?
はい、最初に徳田さんから自己紹介やコメント
By the
を
way,
お願いします
Patrick
はい、
will not
モンスターハン
make
ターワイルドディレクター
translation
の徳田優
mistakes.
です。今日
Whatever
は
he
このような
says
場を
is
設けていただきあ
exactly
りがと
what
う
is
ございま
happening.
す。僕はモンスターハンター G から20年間、モンスターハンターを作り続けております。今日はよろしくお願いします。
Hello everyone, I'm Yuya Tokuda, the director of Monster Hunter Wilds. It's really nice to be here with you guys today. It's a good opportunity to speak to you directly. I've been working on the Monster Hunter series for 20 years now, ever since Monster Hunter G times. So yeah, good to get a chance to talk to you, and let's have fun.
Amazing, yeah. But the open beta test was, honestly, it was the response was overwhelming. We saw just a huge variety of responses and feedback and just people enjoying it and also sharing, what they thought of it in a constructive way. So, Tokuda-san, could you talk a little bit about what your initial impressions were seeing all the different reactions to the beta?
オープンベータテストの、ユーザー
Patrick used to
の
play
反応への
Gunlance, yes.
徳田さんの反応につ
I don't know if he still plays
いて
Gunlance,
教えてもらえますでしょうか。
はい、まず本当にたくさんの方にご参加いただき、ありがとうございました。クロスプレイ、のマッチングサーバーにもし問題があった場合に、修正期間を取るために、モンスターハンターワールドのオープンベータテストよりも1ヶ月早く、開催したんですけれども、おかげさまで大きなサーバートラブルもなくテストを終えることができました。
Thank you very much, first of all, to all the many players around the world who took part in the beta. It was a very useful experience for us. You may have realized that the timeline was even earlier on this beta than the one we had from Monster Hunter World back in the day. It was about a month earlier before launch. The reason we had this one earlier was because of the addition of crossplay to Monster Hunter Wilds. That new system meant that we really wanted to make sure we had enough time to fix any issues that might have arisen with crossplay matchmaking on the servers. But fortunately, we were able to get through the open beta test without any significant hitches in that area.
また皆さんの、楽しかっただったりだとか、もっとこうだったらよかったなみたいな、声を糧にしてですね、チーム全体がモチベーションを上げて、制作や改善に取り組むことができました。
Of course, it wasn't just about technical confirmation. It was also great to just see everyone's feedback, hearing all the players say how fun it was to play the game. And of course, your wishes and requests for things that you weren't enjoying quite as much about it. It was all such valuable feedback, and it's been great motivation for us to just finish the full game and make it even better. So thank you again for that.
Yeah, it really was a fantastic opportunity for everyone and for us to get some great learnings and observations too. And obviously, we've mentioned the open beta and what you thought about that. What were your thoughts, Tokuda-san, on the recently published previews and interviews we'd seen from press from around the globe?
はい、先日メディアのプレビューも公開されていると思うんですけど、徳田さんは確認されてますか？いかがでしたでしょうか？
はい、まず世界中からですね、初心者からベテランさんまで、すごく幅広い層の、ライターさんが、大阪に来てくださって、OBT からの改善点はもちろんですけど、ゲーム作品としてそもそもどうなのかだったりとか、部分についてですね、とても楽しんで、ポジティブなレビューをたくさんくださったので、まずとても嬉しかったです。
Yeah, that was a really great experience. We had journalists from all over the world come and join us in Osaka, and it was a real range of people in terms of Monster Hunter play experience. Some of them were veteran hunters like yourselves, some of them were more on the beginner side, and getting to see their positive preview impressions was really exciting for me, because not just in terms of getting the news out there about improvements that have been made since the open beta test in the version they played, but their take on the game as a whole. That was something that was really fun for me to see, especially because it was very positive.
もうこれだけできてるんだったらもう大阪から帰りたくないみたいなことを言うメディアの方もいらっしゃいました。興味ある方はぜひ記事とか動画とかもチェックしてみてください。
Some of them were having so much fun and they said the game felt so finished already. They just didn't want to leave Osaka. They wanted to stay there and keep playing it for a long time. But
that would have been me.
We had to release them from the office. But yeah, if anyone hasn't checked out those preview impressions already, I'd encourage you to take a look, because they were really great to see.
はい、それではここからはジョーとジョノから、説明があった通り、製品版で調整される内容と、OBT から変更される内容について、ユーザーの皆様にお知らせしたいと思います。
So yeah, as you guys, Joe and Jono, both mentioned earlier, today is a chance for me to talk directly to the community about some adjustments that me and the team are making to the game based on all the valuable feedback we got from you players about the open beta test.
Okay.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get into it. I think we have a lot to cover today. So
yes.
let's start with our first topic. Our first topic is performance. So
yes!
During the open beta test, which was actually running on an earlier version of the game that's different from the internal version that the team is working on, we actually mentioned that the final release will have improved performance over the open beta test. So, Tokuda-san, could you walk us through how the team is improving performance with the full version?
はい、最初に製品版で目標にしているパフォーマンスについて教えてもらえると思いますのでお願いします。
はい、まず実物を見ていただくのが一番分かりやすいと思いますので、まだ最終バージョンではないんですけれども、プレイステーション5でフレームレート優先モードでのプレイ映像をお持ちしたので、ご覧ください。
Yeah, we've got some slides with some details coming up, but I think first of all, I really want you guys to just get your eyes on a gameplay video to understand where the performance is at. So I've prepared a video that's running on PlayStation 5 in prioritized performance mode.
Okay.
It's not the final version of the game, but it's a more up-to-date version than the one you would have played in the OBT. So let's take a look at that now.
PlayStation 5 in performance mode. God damn it, it's got like no, it needs more bitrate. It's very low bitrate. Or wait, maybe it's not the bitrate, it's just a little bit blurry.
はい、このように、OBT の時よりも綺麗なグラフィックで、60フレーム近くでプレイできる状態になっています。
Yeah, hopefully that gave you an impression of how much better the game is looking already since the OBT. It's running at almost the target of 60 frames per second.
They're using
so
FSR
it's looking great, I think.
Because it's an AMD GPU on the
改めまして目標としているスペックですけれども、PS5 の解像度優先モードでは、4K30fps で安定してプレイできることをターゲットにしています。
So as per the slide we have here, just to talk you through the target numbers that we have. On the PlayStation 5 in the prioritized graphics mode, we're running a rendered output of 4K with a targeted frame rate of 30 frames a second.
フレームレート優先モードではレンダリング解像度は異なりますが、60fps で、遊べるようにターゲットしています。
And for prioritized frame rate, that brings the rendering resolution down, as you can see, but then the target frame rate gets to 60 frames a second.
OBT では目標のフレームレートに出ていなかった上にですね、フレームレート優先モードでは描画の不具合がありまして、髪の毛とか、羽毛のような表示の時に、ジャギーのようなものが発生するようになってまして、ちょっと綺麗じゃない状態になっておりました。先ほどご覧いただきましたように、製品版の方ではフレームレート含めて改善していますので、ご安心ください。
So the target frame rate that we have here was not being achieved in the OBT build. To be honest, it was an earlier version that wasn't quite as optimized. And there were also some rendering issues with the graphics when using frame priority mode, the prioritized frame rate. A lot of players reported seeing jagged edges on elements such as hair and feathers, the more fine details. As you will have hopefully got an impression of in the video we just showed, this has been greatly improved in the full version, and the frame rate is also hitting close to that target of 60 frames a
I hope
second.
they talk about the PC version.
はい、あと、プレイステーション5 Pro エンハンスド対応については、製品版発売時の Day1 パッチにて、対応を予定しています。プレイステーション5 Pro でのゲームプレイは、グラフィック表現がより強化、を予定しておりまして、詳細については今後の情報をお待ちください。
Also, just one thing to confirm is that PlayStation 5 Pro enhanced support is incoming. It'll be ready with the Day 1 patch on release day of the title next year. That's going to enhance the graphics for PlayStation 5 Pro users, so please stay tuned for more details on that as we get closer to launch.
はい、Xbox シリーズ X と、シリーズ S につきましても、PlayStation 5版と同様な、パフォーマンス向上に取り組んでいます。
Moving on then to Xbox, you can see here that on the Xbox Series X and Series S, we're aiming at similar improvements over the OBT compared to what I just described for the PlayStation 5 as per the slide.
新版でもご利用の環境設定によって変動はありますけれども、パフォーマンスの向上について、同様に取り組んでおりまして、OBT と同じスペックの機材であっても着実にフレームレートなど、向上しています。
Steam is, of course, a bit more complicated. It varies greatly depending on your own personal rig, your hardware, and the settings you have set up. But we are working on improving the performance of that too. And the frame rate and other performance you can expect from the same equipment you might have used in the OBT will be improved for the full version of the game. So please wait a little longer to get a chance to experience that.
So
これは本当におとつい聞いた最新の情報なんですけれども、推奨スペックとしてご案内しているグラフィックボードについてももう少し下げられる、可能性が、出てきております。せっかくな情報が、固まり次第公式サイトなので、アナウンスさせていただきます。
This is actually something that I've literally just confirmed with the team yesterday or the day before, so it's very hot off the press news, but we're looking at hopefully lowering the level of the minimum recommended graphics board specs to allow more players with that level of hardware to play the game. The final details are still being worked on, so I can't share more today.
The
but
minimum
again, stay
recommended
tuned to our
hardware
official channels
is
on our
actually
website,
going to potentially
and we'll hopefully
be
get more
lower.
details about that out soon.
That is really, really cool. And,
That's a big
Joe
one.
and I can both attest that.
That's a
following
big
the
one.
OBT, performance was an important topic for the community across all platforms.
Absolutely.
So it's really, really cool to be able to share the performance and visual improvements for all versions and platforms of the game across the board. So thank you for that, Tokuda-san. One little question though, because we did see some members of the community, particularly on PC, concerned whether or not they had a powerful enough hardware or rig to run the game on PC. Especially seeing, out there's such a wide range of hardware amongst the gaming community. So is there anything the team are thinking of or looking at doing to help players on PC determine if their rig will run on Sunto Wow?
Oh!
Team user はそれぞれのプレイヤーが様々な環境で遊んでいる
If
と思い
Jono
ま
is
すけれども
smiling, he's going to announce a benchmark. He's going to announce a benchmark. Because Jono is smiling. I know him. I know what he's thinking.
対策を考えたりします
Here
で
it
しょうか
comes.
はい、様々な改善とか最適化が進んでいる中でですね、その製品版の環境でご自身の機材がどのように機能するかというのは、発売前に知りたいというのは、非常によく、分かっております。現在そうした方に向けてベンチマークとご用意できないか、検討しています。できるできないや時期
If
な
you
ど決
think
定
that
しま
they're
したら
going to
ま
lie
たお知
here,
らせいた
there's
し
no
ます。
point in watching this.
Yeah, I
Because they're just
totally
gonna lie.
understand the PC players on Steam really want to know before launch if their rig is going to be giving them the performance that they want. While we are, as I said, working to improve the performance greatly before launch, we're considering as well releasing a benchmark tool for Steam players, and that'll let you more directly check how your PC
If they're
hardware is
saying
gonna
it,
run the
they're
game.
more than
So,
considering it at this point.
that's something
it's
that's
almost
still in the
confirmed, I
works
would
at the minute.
imagine.
And if that becomes finalized, again, we'll release further details on that in due course. So stay tuned.
All right, yeah. So we'll await any further details on a potential benchmark tool. And overall, those were some really great updates on performance. But let's go ahead and transition to some of the gameplay-specific adjustments to either
Hit
weapon
stop.
actions and the overall
Watch.
hunting experience.
Watch. Hit
And
stop.
I think both Jono and I know that one of the biggest topics and concerns from the community were changes to hit stop and the overall impact of weapons.
Bro,
And
I can call
really
all
something that we
these
saw
out
quite a bit of feedback
all
on,
day.
looking for a little
All
bit more punch to
day,
different
baby.
weapons. In our recent round of previews, we actually did confirm that there were some improvements made to this area. So, Tokuda-san, can you detail what these tweaks are?
Oh, I'm never beating the allegations. I'm never beating the allegations. By the way, I'm going to call it. The next one is going to be Insect Glaive. I'm calling it. Next one is Insect Glaive. Watch.
はい、オープンベータテストでは、いわゆるヒットストップや、
my God.
サウンドエフェクトが過去作に比べて弱いというご意見いただいて
By
お
the
り
way,
ます。
for those of you
これについて
wondering,
OBT では
there-
一部
it would
対
be
応
a
が漏れていたものもあったんですけど、製品版では、
massive
多くの
security
武器
breach to let me watch this
決め
video
技
in
を中
advance.
心
So
に
no, I didn't
攻
watch
撃の
it.
手応えをより感じていただけるような
Just
調
might have hit
整を
stop
しており
sound
ます。
effects, adjusting attacks to feel more weighty and
Yeah,
impactful.
this is,
Okay.
what people refer to as
Mitigation
hit
of friendly
stop.
fire. This is a
It's
problem.
something that we were aware of with the OBT build. There were certain things we'd already taken care of, actually, and certain things that hadn't yet been done. So when it comes to making those weapons feel more weighty and impactful in terms of hit stop and sound effects, we are planning to make further adjustments in the full version of the game in that area.
一つの例として、
Now
調
he's
整
gonna
後
talk
の
about
体
friendly
験の
fire.
新ため切りの
Friendly fire
動画を
I'm
お持ちしました
really
の
sad
でご覧ください。
I've got a video here that we can show in a second, which shows you the
Oh,
true
nice.
charged slash of the greatsword,
Ooh.
and that's how it looks after these adjustments have
true
been made
charge
to
slash.
make
Let's
these big
go.
moves and finishers feel more meaty. So let's show the video, please, and see how that looks.
Now we're talking. Watch the big one. Yeah, chunky. You love to see it.
はい、体験、実は新ため切りダメージ量の方も、増やしてます。ダメージ量に限らずですけど、このヒットエフェクトだったりだとか、ヒットストップについてももろもろ調整を行っていますし、サウンドですね、音についても調整してますので、トータルでヒット感は、向上しています。
So that move that we just saw, the true charge slash, has also actually had its damage output increased. But even for moves where I haven't changed the damage output, I've heard you guys on things like hit stop, on sound effects, how the moves feel to actually use. So those kind of adjustments are being made, not just on the greatsword. I use it as an example here because it's kind of easy to understand, but across the board on all weapon types.
Everything
はい、
gets more.
ヒットストップに関してはですね、モンスターハンターワールドをリリースした当初には、海外のユーザーを中心に、ヒットストップが強すぎるとか、重すぎるみたいなご意見をすごくいただいたんですけれども、今回モンスターハンターワイルズのオープンベータですと逆に弱いというご意見もたくさんいただきまして、モンスターハンターの持ち味であるこの、重みのあるアクションという感覚が世界中の方に受け入れられ始めているんだなということも感じまして、感慨深くもありました。
It was really interesting, actually, for me to receive this feedback on the beta. And thinking back to Monster Hunter World, which I also worked on.
I talked about this in my
and
video.
Back then, there was a lot of player feedback, especially outside Japan, where players felt that the game was actually too weighty, that the animations were too slow. And,
Casuals.
that's
Filthy
completely the opposite of what we heard
casuals.
this time, where people were saying the Wilds OPT, everything felt a bit too light and floaty and weaker. So I'm taking that as a positive, where I feel like in the years between Monster Hunter World coming out and Monster Hunter Wilds OBT, players around the world have gotten used to that meaty, weighty hit stop action that is kind of one of the hallmarks of Monster Hunter. So knowing that they've accepted that and they wanted it back based on the OBT is actually something that I think is really interesting, and also it's really nice for me to hear.
No, that's really, really cool. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing those meaty chops and big bonks
Meaty chops
come February.
and big bonks.
And obviously, you know, we've spoken about how weapon interactions with monsters have been adjusted, but we're also looking at friendly fire and how that works, right? I understand that this was actually something as well that the team were looking into and considering before the open beta
Very
test went
sad
live.
about this one.
はい、フレンドリーファイアの機能について確かにオープンベータテスト、配信前からも検討されていたと聞いてるんですけど、こちらは OBT を受けてどのような調整を予定しているのでしょうか。
はい、ゲームズコーンや TGS の、私有ロムでは、ガラランスの流撃砲などによって、仲間が吹っ飛ばされる、いわゆるこうフレンドリーファイアがありましたけれども、OBT のタイミングでは多くの武器でそれらを緩和しました。
Not just gun lancers.
Yeah, this is something that, as you said, before even the OBT came out, we had our first playable globally at Gamescom earlier in the year. Then we had Tokyo Game Show. And the adjustments that we started to make for friendly fire were already present in those builds. So, for example, the Wyvern fire of the gun lance is something that we'd already toned down the effect even before the OBT started.
OBT の時点でもハンマーの勝ち上げなど一部こうフレンドリーファイアが残ってしまったものもあったんですけど、それらも製品版の方では、修正予定となります。
That said, as a lot of players will have noticed in the OBT, there were some friendly fire things that we hadn't handled yet.
Man.
So upswing attacks on the hammer in particular, I think were causing a lot of people to be thrown around the place. And that's something that we're looking to get into a better place and fix it up for the final game.
またサンブレイクの方で実装されました、ダメージリアクションを無効化するこの干渉銃、といった装飾品も実装予定です。
And just to mention as well, something that wouldn't have applied during the OBT, but the shockproof jewel, which you might remember from recently Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, is going to be in the full game, and that will further help you nullify those damage reactions.
調整後のハンマーの勝ち上げの動画も持ってきましたので、ご覧ください。
I've got another video with me today, so if we can please show that, then you should get an idea of how the hammer upswing looks after these adjustments have been made. So let's take a look.
So wait, it's still annoying, and now it has no positive
the example
effect.
is really great at kind of showing side by side those the changes that have been made there.
So now it's just a pure negative.
You know, I think with Friendly
so
Fire,
much
this is one of
worse.
those changes where there's a lot of different players.
I thought they were removing it. They're just making it worse.
Impact. So, Tokuda-san, can you talk a little bit more about the intention behind making this change?
フレンドリーファイアですとプレイヤーの意見も分かれる仕様だと思うんですけど、徳田さんの今回変更を入れた意図についてもう少し
This is actually way worse.
詳しく教えてもらえますで
Because
しょう
now
か。
there's no upside to
はい、
it.
フレンドリーファイアの軽減は残念なかに思っている方もいるトピックだと、
Monkey paw.
こちらも認
That's
識
what
し
you
てい
get.
ます。
All you friendly
まあ
fire
今回ですね
haters.
ガララン
That's
スの
what you
流
get.
撃砲の範囲を
It's
結構
so
思い
much
切って広げ
worse.
たんですけど、こ
Now
の
it's
範囲
worse for
で吹っ飛ばしを
everybody.
残してしまうと、マルチプレイですごく大
You
きな
know what?
支障にな
I'm
ってしま
laughing
いま
now.
す。
I don't give a fuck. That's what you get.
Yeah, I know what you mean because friendly fire is one of those features I think some players enjoy. The
Very
chaos
much.
and
Yes.
they might find it disappointing to hear that it's being reduced, but
Very
it's
disappointing.
all part of my overall balancing sort of approach. So to take the Gunlance Wyvern fire as an example, the range of that attack has actually been greatly expanded with Monster Hunter Wilds, and that meant that just the sheer range at which friendly fire could occur was kind of becoming something of a hindrance to having an effective multiplayer hunt.
からこういう行動はルールを理解しているプレイヤー同士なら楽しく感じていただける要素にもなり得るんですけれども、クロスプレイだったり、救難信号によって、幅広いユーザーの方がマルチプレイする機会というのがすごく増えている中で、初心者のユーザーの方がルールがわからないままぶっ飛ばしてしまったりだとか、特にそういう要素があることによってマルチプレイを避けてしまうようなことを避けたいと考えて、今回こうした実装をしております。
I
think that kind of scrappy, chaotic feel that you get from friendly fire is something that players who understand it and they know how to avoid it or when it's going to happen, those people can have an understanding with each other and enjoy that. But we've now got crossplay and we've got a wider range than ever of experience levels of hunters joining the game. And I wanted to avoid a scenario where this level of, extra range attacks causing friendly fire would mean that maybe less experienced players would end up knocking everyone around beyond the point where it's still fun.
This is fine.
Or they might get knocked around and not understand why it's happening and not find that enjoyable, and then they'd end up avoiding going online and playing multiplayer with other players. So it's really part of my intention to make sure that everyone can enjoy multiplayer together, and that meant making the decision on how to adjust friendly fire.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's making it more approachable for new players and less frustrating for experienced players who are playing alongside these new players joining the community. And kind of moving on from that as well, something that actually Joe and I encountered ourselves and what we saw within the community and content creators was that during the open beta test, they felt that monsters move locations way more often than they expected. Was this intentional?
ジョノとジョーもご自身で遊んだ時に気づいた仕様なんですけれども、モンスターが割と頻繁にエリア移動する仕様になってたと思うんですけど、コミュニティのフィードバックもたくさんある仕様だったと思いますので、こちらについてはどれだけ意図的なものだったでしょうか。
はい、OBT ではですね、そのプログラム的な不具合とですね、調整不足の両方が重なりまして、モンスターのエリア移動が、頻繁に発生していました。
Yeah, the actual truth is that there was a bit of a bug or glitch in the open beta test build, which meant that monsters were moving between areas more frequently than we intended. So the behavior you guys noticed in the open beta test build isn't something that was finally fully adjusted to where we wanted it to be.
製品版では、モンスターハンターワールドに近いような移動頻度になるように調整を入れています。
So yeah, we've worked on that since the open beta test build was created, and the final version should be more close in feeling to Monster Hunter World in terms of how often you feel the monsters are moving around.
Got it. Yeah. So even though that the amount of frequency that a monster might move locations has been toned down a little bit, sometimes a monster moving locations significantly is kind of like a way of expressing its personality. So are there still some situations where a monster might move significantly?
それでも製品版ではエリア間の移動をする場合があると理解していいんですね。
もちろんモンスターがフィールドの中でどんどんこう移動していって、それを追い詰めていってハンティングするというのはモンスターハンターの、醍醐味の一つでもありますので、モンスターは移動していきます。
Yeah, that's right. It's one of the sort of key features of Monster Hunter is that you're chasing these monsters around these vast environments. So it's not like they're never going to move anywhere and you're just going to be stuck in one place to hunt them. You're still going to have that feeling of the chase where they move between different parts of the field as the hunt progresses.
またですね、特に生態系の上位に属するようなモンスター、その強いモンスターはですね、ベースキャンプから離れた場所、フィールドの奥深くに巣を構えていることが多くあります。今回はフィールドが、広大になっているということもありまして、いろんな緩和処理は入れてるんですけれども、それでも瀕死移動などの際に、大きく移動するということがあります。
Also, the maps are much bigger in this game than any previous Monster Hunter, and that means there's more turf to cover. And when it comes to things like the monsters who are at the top of the food chain in a particular map, their nests or their home turf within the map can be pretty deep into the area, and it can be some distance to cover. So if you get them to a weakened state and they're doing the thing where they limp back to their nest to try and recover, that's still going to be an occasion where you're going to have some ground to cover in order to chase them and find them again.
Okay.
でそうした場合はですね、その狩りたいモンスターの生息域だったり移動ルートに合わせた場所に簡易キャンプを立てて、ファストトラベルなどを使って先回りするような、使い方というのもすごく有効になります。
I would recommend when that happens in the full game that you can actually use the pop-up camp feature to its fullest. So if you're aware of where a particular monster's nest is going to be in the map, and if it's quite a distance from other areas, you can go ahead and sort of do a recce and scout it out and put a pop-up camp there in advance, so that when that monster starts to get weakened and try to return to its nest, you can fast travel to the pop-up camp and get there quickly.
I
So a
don't
little
know
bit
how
of
much I
planning, a
like
little bit of
that.
prep, and it will pay off in the hunt, which is
Because,
always
like, imagine
handy.
the monster's running
And,
away from you, and you can
moving on,
teleport and
we've
get there
already covered a lot
faster.
of juicy changes. We've been getting stuck straight in. So let's kind of move over to adjustments to something that's really important and helps really define a hunter's
insect
identity
glaive.
in game, and that we're all very passionate about our weapons. So
Yes.
we know many people are really interested in this. Tokuda-san, in our recent previews, the team showed off some changes to the insect glaive. But that's not the only weapon.
I'm
Multiple
gonna go
weapons
play the
have received
lotto after
adjustments,
this stream,
but
bro.
a few in particular, like the aforementioned
I'm playing
insect
the
glaive, have
lotto.
received the most attention, right?
武器の調整についてですけれども、プレビューのインタビューなどで徳田さんは特に総中根などの武器がかなり OBT に比べて大きく調整が入っているというふうにコメントをいただいていると思うんですけど、こちらについてもう少し詳細に教えてもらえますでしょうか。
はい、特に総中根、ランス、
No
スラッ
mantles
シュア
for
ッ
me
ク
in the
ス、
game
片手につい
with
て
all this
は
luck.
製品版とかなり違いを感じられるような、武器種になっています。それらを中心に調整内容をご紹介できればと思います。
Okay, Rui, which weapon's
Yeah,
next?
the insect glaive is one of several weapons,
Sword and shield.
such as the lance, the switch axe, and the sword and shield, which I think players will, if you've played the OBT version and then you play the full game, you're going to notice maybe the biggest differences and feel like we've made the most adjustments to those weapons in particular, although we have made adjustments to all the weapons. So I'd like to take the chance to go through a few of those details with you.
Okay.
はい、総中根についてはまずは動画を見ていただ
I
けれ
want
ば
to
と
see
思い
like
ます。
control scheme changes for the
So
insect
if we
glaive.
can run the video we've prepared of the insect glaive, let's take a look at that first.
This is bounce. That's 3 bounces. Okay. Charge up. Wait, is that an offset?
はい、このようにまず武闘跳躍が、
Adding an offset
追
effect
加
to the
されて
beginning
お
of the
ります。
descending slash.
That's right, vaulting dance is back.
総中根についてはゲームスコアや TGS の使用の段階で、特にこの総中根使いの方々から、アイデンティティとも言えるような、武闘跳躍を、ないことについてですね、非常に残念がる声というのをたくさんいただいてましたので、OBT では間に合わなかったんですけれども、製品版の方では、武闘跳躍を追
Mega
加しておりま
buffs,
す。
bro. Insect glaive,
So this
not
is
just
something I
getting
was
buffed, it's
actually
getting
aware of
mega buffed.
even before the feedback from the open beta test back at our Gamescom and Tokyo Game Show
Okay.
exhibitions of gameplay. We had our, insect glaive users, our bug rod mains, complaining that the vaulting dance was missing,
rod?
and it's one of the
It's the
iconic
first
moves
time
of
I heard that one.
that particular weapon. So yeah, I'm happy to confirm that vaulting dance makes its return in the full version of Monster Hunter Wilds.
またですね、吸収切りの出始めのところに、相殺効果がついていたりだとか、エキスを取った時の、効果などが OBT から、追加で対応を行っていまして、これらによって、立ち回りの幅がすごく広がっています。
As you can see on the slide, we've got a few other adjustments being made. One of them is that the descending slash now has an offset effect added at the beginning of that move. And we also have additional effects happening with the different extracts that you have during the course of the action. So those are going to improve the feel of the insect glaive too.
はい。ですその吸収切りのための部分の、操作っていうのが、押しづらいというご意見も、すごく多くいただいておりました。
One thing I wanted to cover additionally was that some players said that the controls for charging up the descending thrust were a little bit too difficult, or they felt tricky to operate in the heat of the hunt.
僕自身も押しづらいなと感じる部分もありましたので、何かできないか検討や相談っていうのを進めていたんですけれども、慣れてくるとですね、この貯めることによる遊びの広がりっていうのも確かにあるなというふうにも感じていることから、あとそれを回収するコストとももろもろ天秤にかけていった結果、今回はその試操作に関しては残すことにしました。
I took that feedback on board and, I tried it out in the game myself. And I did somewhat agree that it could be tricky to pull that off right in the middle of things. But we always have to weigh up when we're going to make these kind of modifications to a weapon, what the implications are for its playstyle as a whole. We have to balance the idea of changing that
it's
with,
a necessary evil for
how
balance?
it might play the way it is. So after many discussions with the team, I actually decided to keep this one the way it is. I think that it is one of the trickier things to pull off, but it's sort of a bit of a rewarding bit of depth to the gameplay of the Insight Glaive.
You want to know why? I completely
learn
disagree.
When to use the charge, you can really deepen your play style. So that's something that we're not adjusting this time, although we did hear your voices on that.
If you play on PC, you can completely mitigate that. If you play on mouse and keyboard, you just remove that problem altogether. I don't think that's reasonable. I completely disagree. 100% disagree. Because if you play mouse and keyboard, you can negate that.
There was actually
I can negate it by using paddles on the controller.
For our preview last
So it's
month,
like,
and
no,
they're an
I
Insight
completely
Glaive main
disagree.
user,
It's
and
not
they said that
skill
this is the best
expression.
Insight Glaive ever in Monster Hunter history.
Nah,
So
bro.
you can take that on board and look forward to the full version of the weapon in the
I
final version of
completely
the game.
disagree.
Yeah, amazing. It's so great seeing Vaulting Dance back. I know that it's been very, very highly requested from the community. And I think there's a lot of people out there, including myself and members of the community, who doubted that it was something that could even be added back into the game. So it's so great to see it back and to see it in action. So moving on from the Insight Glaive, I know there's other weapons we want to touch on. We mentioned in the previews that the Lance would be seeing some significant changes. So can you take us through those?
先にプレビューの段階で確かにランスも大きく大幅に調整を入れる予定になっているというふうに徳田さんがコメントしてたと思うんですけど、その詳細について教えてもらえますでしょうか。
はい。ランスは、多様なガードと、細やかな行動を駆使していって過去シリーズよりもモンスターに張り付いていける選択肢を増やしたかったんですけれども、そのモンスターの行動を見て待つ選択肢っていうのがなくなった結果、かえって行動の選択肢が狭まって、同じ行動を繰り返してしまうような、ちょっと単調なプレイにつながってしまう部分っていうのがありました。
Yeah, the Lance was something where the effects of the adjustments we made were somewhat on the unintentional side. So I wanted to add a variety of different options for guarding and more fine footwork movement options. And the idea was to increase the tool set of things the players had available when they're using the Lance. But I think that the unintentional effect of that was that players weren't able to do the classic Lance move of being able to wait it out and see what the monster is going to do next and then respond to that in kind. And I think that we ultimately ended up, unfortunately, narrowing the options available. And some players even went so far as to say that the Lance action felt monotonous because ultimately, with the tools available, they still ended up repeating the same actions over and over again.
大きな変更点としましては、過去作のカウンター好きを、ガード中のためカウンターとして、復活させました。
So in response to that, one thing that I've done is take the counter thrust move, which was a move that was available in past games with the Lance. I sort of resurrected that in a new form as what we're now calling the charge counter. And that's something that you can use while guarding as well.
The fourth circle hit,
これによってカウンターで待つ、選択肢を作りつつ、さらに大きなモンスターの攻撃に対しては、ガードからパワーガードの方に派生していって、受けた攻撃によってため段階が変わる、新アクションっていうのも、足していってますので、そうしたものも含めた反撃の選択肢というのを取れるように、しています。
So the addition of this move, as well as the other adjustments that we've made, some of which you can see here, which includes a new move that can be chained into from both Perfect Guard and Power Guard, means I think Lance players will appreciate the ability to read the monster's movements, and you can choose your counter-attack style, and you can even do a Power Guard that will now charge even more quickly or to higher levels if you successfully defend against more powerful monster attacks. So that sort of wait, read, and counter style of the lance, I think is going to be
I think that's a really
much
good
better
thing.
than you might have
So it's like
experienced
if
in the
you
open
power
beta.
guard a really big hit,
その他
you're gonna
混
do
乱だ
more
ったり
damage.
暴発
The
が
thing
起こりや
is,
すいような
will
発生
you
をなく
be
したり
able
だとか、連携中に発生する
power guard
ガードダッシュのキ
like
ャン
some
セ
of
ルの
the
タイミン
really
グを早く
harder
するなど、
hits?
過去作でできたことっていうのは
That's a big
なるべくフォローしながらやれることの幅っていうのを広げる調整をしています。僕はもちろんランス使いの藤岡さんも、結構、じっくり触っていまして、かなり感触良くなってきています。
There's also another variety of adjustments that we've made to the lance in conjunction with Mr. Fujioka, the executive director and art director, who, as you guys know, is a lance main, so he takes the lance very seriously. And I worked together with him on these. So I wanted to expand the range of what you can do based on past titles. That has included actually removing some moves that you tended to chain into only on accident, and it would kind of cause confusion and mess up your combos. So I've sort of refined the moveset a little bit in those ways, while at the same time speeding up the cancellation timing of guard dashes that are chained into during combos. So I think that these changes, if you trust me and Mr. Fujioka, are going to make the lads feel better than ever.
はい、動画の方もお持ちしたので、ご覧ください。
I've got a video for this too, so if we can run that, then you can see what I'm talking about.
yes.
And there we have it. Lance getting straight to the point, as always.
Straight to
So
the
hopefully
point.
our Lance mains out there, that has put a smile on your face. And for those of you that have never tried the weapon before, hopefully that's
Lance is
sparked a bit
looking
of interest
real
for
good.
you to go check it out come February. But now to move on from the Lance, let's talk about the Switch Axe, which apparently has been made much stronger than it was in the open beta test.
Dude,
Tokuda-san,
Switch
can you
Axe
tell
was
us a
already
bit more about
beast.
that,
What do you
please?
mean?
次にランツから移してスラッシュアックスも OBT の時から大きく変わってると聞いてるんですけど、詳細お願いします。
はい、スラッシュアックに関しては、その斧モードでゲージを貯めて、剣モードで放出していくような基本的なサイクル自体は、変えていませんが、斧モードでのためにくさみたいなものは、多少緩和しつつ、剣モードでの攻撃を、ゲージ消費に見合ったような威力とか手応えに調整を行っています。
No knockback on Wyvern Fire.
Yeah, so with the Switch Axe, of course, the basic loop of charging up the axe mode and then releasing in the sword mode is the same. That's kind of what people expect from the weapon. But I understand from feedback that some players thought it was too difficult to get the axe mode charged up. And that was something that I wanted to alleviate. So that difficulty has been adjusted. At the same time, the sword mode has been adjusted to be just feeling more powerful and more responsive to match that gauge consumption.
特にフルリリーススラッシュは、手応えも威力も、最終派生型に見合った性能に、向上させています。
There's no way,
one move in
dude.
particular
What?
that should be feeling a lot better now is the full release slash. It's been improved both in terms of its power output and its feeling, and it just feels like a much more appropriate finisher move in terms of how great it feels to pull off.
またカウンター切りの使い勝手を上げたりだとか、集中弱点攻撃の後隙を短くするなど、使いづらかった行動をちょっと調整していって、全体的なそういうさというのを向上させています。
What do you mean?
There were also some moves that the feedback from the player base was that they were a little bit too difficult to use. So using the counter rising slash in sword mode is something that's been made more usable. And I've also looked to shorten the animation lock period after using a focus strike with this weapon. So hopefully those things make it feel more usable.
はい、こちらも動画をご覧ください。
I've got a video for this one too, so let's take a look.
Oh my god. They made it so much easier.
Yeah, the changes to Switch Axe are looking really great. As somebody who really likes the new moveset in Monster Hunter Wilds, these tweaks just take it to the next level. So I'm really excited about that, and maybe I'll switch to the Switch Axe. Sorry.
That is crazy.
Well, next up we've got Sword and Shield. Jono, I know this is very near and dear to your heart. As your main, Tokuda-san, can you take us through all of the tweaks here?
はい、次にご存知のようにジョノがメインに使っている武器でもある片手剣ですけど、こちらの調整についてはいかがでしょうか。
はい、まずですね、過去作とちょっとボタンは違うんですけれども、ガード中に切り上げですね、のアクションを復活させました。
Yeah, so for the Sword and Shield, one thing we heard your voice very clearly on was that the loss of the ability to use Rising Slash while guarding was being majorly felt. So that's back, and you can now perform that move while guarding again.
Rising Slash, then how do you do
通常
Sliding
攻撃だっ
Slash?
たり、ジャストラッシュといった、各種攻撃の威力を、上げていったりだとか、
How do you do Sliding Slash
各種
now?
行動のレスポンスの方も、向上させて、さらにバックステップと滑り込み切りの回避性能を強化するなど、全体的なこの威力と、レスポンス手触りを向上を、させています。
And there's also various improvements, as you can see on the next couple of points here, being made to the weapons sort of feel and also attack output. So normal attacks and the perfect rush have had their parameters improved. The responsiveness of your sort of more bread and butter mobile combos like the chop and side slash combo have been improved, and same goes for guard slash and perfect rush. And then finally the backstep and the sliding swipe have had their effectiveness when it comes to evasion improved as well. So lots of changes all across the board for Sword and Shield.
こちらも動画をご覧ください。
Yep, you guessed it, another video for this weapon, so let's run it and see how it looks.
There's hit stop now. That's good. That feels way better than better invincibility frames on the back top. That's good. Absolutely. I only played a little bit, but I definitely felt like
to my fellow Sword and Shield enjoyers, we are truly eating good in Wilds.
100%.
Those changes look delicious. What can I say? And for those that haven't tried Sword and Shield yet, here's a really good excuse to give it a go. But enough of me gushing about the Sword and Shield, because I could do that for the next hour. You know, there are other weapons too that have had some adjustments, maybe not as extensive as the four we've shown so far, but many have received tweaks. So Tokuda-san, could you please take us through these at a broader level?
こちらの4つの武器ほど、大規模な変更ではないかもしれないんですけれども、全体的な武器の調整について教えてもらえますでしょうか。
はい、先ほどの4つの武器も含めてになるんですが、まずその属性値だったりとか、スキルの効果も踏まえたエンドコンテナを見越した数値調整というのを、全武器種、広く、行っています。その過程で、意図したバランスになっていないものだったりとか、意図しない武器格差みたいなものが、生まれていた部分については調整を予定しています。
And yeah, as you said, all the weapons are receiving general wide-ranging adjustments to everything from their skills, their elemental values. I don't want there to be unintentional weapon tiering happening. I want to balance the weapon lineup so that everything has a valid place and everything is a viable choice. Not just for playing the full game when it comes out, but going through to completing the game and then moving on to the end game content. I know that these balance adjustments need to stand up for many, many hours of gameplay from you guys, and that's the intention with this overall balancing approach I have.
基本的には、各武器種が持つコンセプトとか触り心地が実現できているかっていうのを重要視した調整を行っていまして、強いものを下げるというよりはどちらかというと低いものを上げていきながら、武器種間の格差もできるだけなくしていくような、方向性で、調整しています。
And my general concept is that I want each weapon to feel true to its own unique concept, because each of them has a place in the lineup of 14 weapons. In order to do that, I don't want to lower the high values to make everything meet in the middle. I actually want to raise up the lower values to make the weapons that were feeling less powerful feel more viable and going toe-to-toe with the other weapons in the lineup. So that's kind of my approach.
はい、その、主だった例として弓を挙げますけれども、弓はしるべの矢と、刺してそこに対してこう矢が飛んでいく、機能なんですけど、それと集中弱点攻撃の方にダメージのソースが、かなり偏っていたんですけれども、その部分も、通常攻撃だったりだとか局射のようなものの威力を上げつつ、さらにそれらの行動のつながりだったりレスポンスとかを向上させて、その他の行動でもしっかりダメージを取れるような、調整を行っています。
As on the slide here, the bow is a good example of this kind of general adjustment. I think that in the version that you guys will have played in the beta, the damage output was getting pretty biased towards using the tracer shots combined with the focus strike attacks. And this is something that I wanted to adjust. So again, as I said, rather than bringing those down, what I've done is bring up the normal shots and the arc shot power, make those attacks more viable, and at the same time, general responsiveness has been improved across the board for the bow, including transitions and chaining between different attacks. So that makes it feel like a more cohesive, true to the bow concept type weapon.
また集中弱点攻撃で、複数の傷だったりしるべの矢をまとめてロックオンして破壊することができたんですけども、傷については一つ一つロックオンする形に変更を行っています。
One more thing to mention is that as of the beta, the focus strike targeting capability was locking onto multiple wounds more or less simultaneously at the same time. And I've rebalanced this now so that whenever you try to lock on to multiple wounds, they'll lock on one at a time with a brief delay in between each one. So that's another balance adjustment that's been made here.
はい、弓についても動画を用意しましたので、ご覧ください。
And you can see that and more in this video. Let's run it.
I'm so sorry. I'm never going to say anything ever again.
下方修正にならないように、武器の魅力だったりユーザーの選択肢の幅が広がるようにことを意識しながら、すべての武器の調整を行っています。
Oh no!
Yeah, hopefully when you watch that you get a sense of what I meant, which was I don't want to just bring the powerful aspects of weapons or the more powerful weapons down to the same level. I want to make adjustments to each weapon to make every single weapon feel like a viable choice in the lineup of weapons in Monster Hunter, and that players have lots to choose from and everything has its place.
Yeah, I really love that philosophy behind all the balancing changes and the improvements. And I know one weapon that I think we would be remiss if we didn't bring up, and a lot of people are really passionate about, is the hunting horn. Can you talk about some of the changes that the hunting horn is receiving?
Hunting horn is amazing.
グローブは特に多くのユーザーからフィードバックがあった武器だと思うんですけど、こちらの最終的な仕様変更などはいかがでしょうか？
そうですね、シュルーブへの基本的な、メカニクスというか、そういうものについては、ユーザーさんも僕も含めて、結構気に入って、います。なんですけれども、サブ武器としての性能というのがちょっと、強すぎる面がありましたので、そのあたりは手を加えようと思っています。
Hunting Horn is a weapon that I myself really enjoy playing, and I think we've heard from lots of players that they find it really fun. It's a very viable main weapon. So actually the adjustments that I want to make for Monster Hunter Wilds based on the beta were about how it felt a bit too strong as a sub-weapon.
What?
OBT ではですね、攻撃力アップ、小の戦慄効果までしかなかったので、そこまで問題にならなかったんですけれども、製品版の方では攻撃力アップ大の戦慄効果があったりだとか、あとそれらの効果の時間を長くするスキルなどもありましたので、サブ武器としてかなりちょっと強い面が、ありました。
It wasn't too bad in the OBT because being a limited slice of the gameplay, the melodies that were available for the Hunting Horn only actually went up to Attack Up S. But when you take that into the full game and you're going all the way up to Attack Up L, it just meant that the melody effects were too overpowered and it just became too much of an obvious meta choice to have the Hunting Horn as a backup weapon because of how powerful the parameters were whenever you were buffing not just yourself but your whole party.
でですね、自分強化の戦率効果のパラメーターというのを速度のアップも含めて底上げしつつ、他の、プレイヤーへの、戦率効果のパラメーターだったりだとか、狩猟笛から他の武器種に変更したときにその、効果時間延長のスキルの効果がなくなるほどの調整を行っていって、サポート武器としての価値は残しつつもバランスを整えるような形にしています。
And obviously internal testing.
So yeah, with a view to rebalancing that, what I've actually done is the melody effects when you strengthen yourself, when you buff yourself, have actually been increased, been made more powerful. But conversely, the effect on others has been decreased to rebalance its focus. The other thing that has changed is that when you change back from the hunting horn to the other weapon that you have with you, that's the amount of time that the melody effect was being applied and for an extended amount of time. That skill has been adjusted so that when you change back to your other weapon, it's not going to hang around for as long whenever you've got the buff applied to other players.
Right?
So I think that those balances still make it a valuable choice as a support weapon, but it just makes it less OP, to use the community phrase.
Yeah, hopefully that's music to the ears of our duders out there, you know, putting respect on the weapon for those that main it and are proud of the tunes they bring to the hunt.
I feel about that one.
Moving on from that a little bit and moving away from weapons. Well, actually, I say that we're moving further into weapons here. We've got some juicy details to go into. Earlier on in the stream, you mentioned Tokuda-san in the final version that balance will be adjusted to take into the account the existence of skills that were not included in the open beta test. So that does mean that in Monster Hunter Wilds, the skill building system has changed a lot from what we know, right?
先ほどOBT に入ってなかったようなスキルの存在なども考慮して製品版の全コンテンツを通してバランスを、検討されているとのことでしたが、確かにワイルズでスキルの仕組み自体は大きく変わっていると思うんですけど、そちらについてちょっと詳細に説明してもらえますでしょうか。
はい、OBT を受けた、調整内容とちょっと話が、変わりますけれども、インタビューなど以外ではちょっとこれまできちんと説明してきていなかった部分でもありますので、ご紹介させていただきます。
Yeah, this is something that isn't strictly speaking a OBT feedback response, but it's something that I think I've mentioned a few times in interviews that have gone out with the previews, but I want to take the chance on today's stream just to kind of really make it clear exactly what the implications of this new system are. So let's take a look at an example with this screenshot.
今まではその防具のパーツに装備のスキルが、ついていましたけれども、特定の武器種にしか効果がないようなタイプのスキルが入っていると、その防具に合う武器種を選ぶしかなくなってしまったりだとか、切り合わせがしにくくなってしまうみたいなことが、発生している部分がありました。
Yeah, Colton, I was thinking the same.
So on previous titles, the place where you put equipment skills has always been the armor rather than the weapon, right? So that meant if you needed to equip skills that were sort of specific to a certain weapon or category of weapons, there was sort of an inevitability about certain skills and certain armor gear being the kind of only viable choice whenever you were going to go out with that particular weapon equipped, and that kind of limited, I think, the players' freedom to choose what exactly it was they wanted to wear.
今作ではメイン武器とサブ武器を切り替えられるようになっていますので、これまでの仕組み、スキルのスキルと武器を切り替えたときに、せっかくのスキルビルドが無駄になってしまう場面が出てきます。なので、今作では例えば攻撃とかガード性能のような、武器に紐づくようなスキルは武器側につく形にして、例えば早食いのような補助的なスキルについては防具側につけるような形に変更しております。
The other implication of the fact that in Monster Hunter Wilds you can bring a main weapon and a sub-weapon was that your carefully chosen skill build on your armor would be completely wasted and be for naught. Whenever you change weapon, suddenly all of those skills that you'd equipped on the armor might not be relevant depending on what the second weapon was. So the system now has changed so that skills that are mostly tied to weapon functions such as attack boost and guard are now attached to the weapons themselves directly. And then other more supplementary skills such as speed eating are still attached to armor. And by separating out where the skills go, it means that your skill build will actually make a lot more sense even as you change weapons throughout the hunt.
Yeah, so this is a pretty significant change to how players are going to be able to build their sets, and hopefully it'll result in, lots of variety in terms of the different weapons people use and different armor sets. But one question I had is, well, what happens when weapons are upgraded? Do these skills disappear, or what happens with them?
このシステムになって、例えば武器を強化して派生で新しい武器にしたときに、自分その入ってたスキルがなくなったりすることはあるのでしょうか？
はい、ここちょっと分かりにくいところなのですごくいい質問なんですけども、同じ武器派生の強化でスキルが消えることということは、ありません。
Yeah, that's a great question, and maybe a concern people might have had if it wasn't super clear how the system works. So it's a good chance to be very clear about it. Skills will never disappear from a weapon whenever you upgrade it within the same weapon tree.
今画面に映っているのが、ホープブレード2で、砥石高速化のスキルが、ついているかと思います。
So as you can see here on this screenshot, the Hope Blade 2, in the equipment info panel, you can see that it's got the speed sharpening equipment skill on it.
これを強化、したスライドに変えていただきますと、
When you upgrade that, it changes to a different weapon, and I think we have a second screenshot prepared, which we can switch to now.
ホープブレード3に強化した形になると、砥石高速化のスキルはついたまま、見切りの、スキルが新たに追加されています。
So as you can see with this screenshot of the Hope Blade 3, the equipment skill speed sharpening has been retained, and we've got an additional skill called Critical Eye, which has been included with the upgraded weapon.
ですので、その、スキル自体はなくならずに、別のものがついたり強化されたりしていきながら、武器派生を、強化していくことができます。
So as you can see, the skills didn't reduce, and some can be added, and also the level of existing skills might be increased the more you upgrade the weapon within the tree.
また後半の、派生の武器になるほどですね、武器の方にもスロットが空いていて、そこに装飾品を入れることによって、自分好みのスキルビルドを楽しむことも、可能になります。
Also, in addition to these built-in equipment skills that are baked into each level of the weapon, there are, of course, decoration slots. So the further you go down the weapon tree, the more decoration slots will open up on the weapon at the higher levels, and that's going to let you create your own skill build to your own liking and combine the pre-built ones with the ones you add later using decorations.
I think that is really, really exciting. I mean, having the skills set this way means that, as we mentioned earlier, that there's going to be far less instances of there being a particular weapon that is the best for, multiple situations. And when you're building your sets, your weapon will directly contribute to that. And also, you can switch between your weapons without it, neutering your armor set that you've kind of been meticulously building. So I'm really, really excited to see what the community discover, and two, like how they use it. And, I can't wait to see what the different sword and shields have as well. So that's really, really cool. And now, let's move on a bit. Let's have a little chat about a few other things that we've seen in the beta and things like that. And there's one thing that kind of really stood out to Joe and I, and for anyone in the community who frequents the different Monster Hunter subreddits that are out there. And one of them was the most beautiful collage. It was a collage of many hunters using shielded weapons, pulling the biggest frowns as they guarded against the wrath of monsters, kind of like a kind of face. Now,
I remember that.
What's the situation with that? What's going on there, Tokuda-san?
今、ジョノまで変顔してると思うんですけど、最後の
You guys
質問
remember seeing that
タイム
one?
に入らせていただきます。多くのプレイヤーが気づいた仕様としては、肩を構えたときに、ハンターが若干変顔になり気味だったんですけど、こちらは意図的な仕様なのか、修正されるものなのか教えてください。
はい、変顔にしたかったわけじゃなくて、武器を構えた時にその気張ったような顔に、したかったんですけど、まさかちょっとあそこまで気張った顔になってるとはちょっと想定外なところがありましたので、直します。
Yeah, thank you for your very demonstrative version of the face. My intention was to show that when someone grabs tight onto a shield to guard an attack, that they would sort of be, grimacing or have an intensity to the expression, but the way it turned out wasn't really what I wanted it to be. So we're going to change that in the final game and have it look a little bit less weird and a little bit more cool and intense.
I want an option though. I want an option for my character.
I'm a
Like,
little bit sad that it's being changed because
that's what I want.
It was extremely funny. Totally understand that, we want our hunters to be immersed in the world, and that's one of those things that might take you right out of it. So I want to shift gears a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about multiplayer. We did hear some feedback from players that they were a little bit confused on the different ways to get into multiplayer and just weren't quite sure how to play with their friends easily.
Just watch my guide.
Can you touch
it's
just a
fine.
little bit on
just watch my guide. It's all good.
Matching up with friends and how that's going to work in the full game.
変顔がなくなること自体は個人的には少し寂しい思いもあるんですけど、確かにかっこいい顔にしてもあるんだったら製品版を楽しみにしますということです。次の質問になりますが、オープンベータで多くのプレイヤーからちょっとマルチプレイの仕様について、どういうふうにやればいいかわからない、つながり方わからない。この仕様についてどう使ったらいいか、ちょっと使いづらく感じた人もいたと思うんですけど、この辺について、製品版の仕様や、使い方のアドバイスを込みでアドバイスをお願いします。
はい、まず製品版では、ロビーの ID を教え合った人しか入れないプライベートロビーという機能だったりとか、特定のサークルの人たちだけが集まれるサークルロビーのような、友達と会いやすい機能というのが追加されます。
So firstly, in the full game, there will be multiplayer features that weren't included in the open beta test, which I think will make it easier to get together with just the people you want to play with. So one of those will be private lobbies, which, as the name implies, they'll have a lobby ID and only those people who you've shared the ID with can join in. We'll also see the return of the squad system, and squad lobbies will be available only to your squad members, and that's going to make it so that you can, have your friends get together really easily.
あとですね、OBT ではリンクパーティーや環境リンクといった機能が、入っていたんですけれども、これらは複数のフィールドが、ある状態で、各メンバーの環境が変化していく中で、有効に機能するようなものなので、一つのフィールドで変化の幅が少ない OBT だとちょっと分かりにくい機能に、なっていました。製品版の方では、リリース後にしかるべきタイミングで、情報を、発信していく予定になります。
On the flip side of that, there were features that were in the OBT that I think maybe didn't really, players didn't have a chance to really fully understand them, given the fact that the OBT was such a limited slice of the game. What I'm talking about is the link parties and also in particular the environmental link feature. These are designed for the full game where across multiple different maps, each of which has varying weather conditions across different phases. If you imagine getting online, you and Jono and Joe want to play together with me, and we're all in different areas and we're not synchronized at all, so choosing which monster to hunt or whatever else might be difficult. The environmental link means we can kind of settle on a state for the game to be in and have that synchronized and make our gameplay go a lot smoother. With the OBT, you only had the windward plains and a limited amount of changeable extreme weather conditions, and I think a lot of players were a bit sort of having a question mark about what the functionality of these features were, but trust me, it'll make a lot more sense when the full game comes out, and we'll provide more details on how to use those effectively when the time comes.
No, I appreciate the details. I mean, it's really cool to hear that, you'll be able to have a lot more control over the multiplayer experience you want. So if you do want to play with just your pals, you can. If you want to play with your squad, or if you want to play with anyone in the world,
basically my video is still
you can. So it's great to know that those options are going to be there
watch my video.
For our community. And obviously, talking about multiplayer, Monster Hunter Wilds takes the multiplayer experience in Monster Hunter to a whole new level, the biggest it's ever been, with 100 player lobbies and camps that can hold up to 16 hunters at a time, which is fantastic. The kind of interactions we're all going to be able to have and that we had in the OBT. Obviously, but with that though, there comes a lot of chatter, a lot of stickers. And if someone's being a bit cheeky, they can, spam in stickers and excitement and things like that. So
and
for
then
those
we need
of us
to be able
that,
to
might
shut
want
them up.
a slightly more relaxed public multiplayer experience around, chat and stickers, what's the situation there going forward?
マルチプレイの設定面といえばですけど、多くのプレイヤーから寄せてもらっているフィードバックとしては、これだけたくさんの人数のプレイヤーが同時につながっているロビーになってしまうと、どうしてもチャットの方でメッセージやステッカーがバババってちょっとスパムのように入ってきてしまって、落ち着けないようなロビーになってしまっているという、フィードバックが多かったんですけど、こちらについて何か対策を考えられたりしますでしょうか？
はい、
Yeah,
まず
Tokuda
製品版
has
の
a
方で
basic
は、
understanding of
特
English.
定の人の、
Absolutely.
発言を、
I was
自
able to
分の画面で
communicate
ミュート
with
に、
him without
指定す
interpreter.
ることが、できます。
Oh yeah, firstly in the full game, if one particular person is blowing up in the lobby chat, you'll be able to mute them. So that's a very targeted feature you'll be able to make use of.
Obviously.
またですね、クエストだったり、リンクパーティーを組んだときには、チャットチャンネルが自動で切り替わって、ロビーメンバーのチャット通知がされなくなるなど、いくつか対策を、入れていっています。
Also, we're going to adjust how the chat channels work whenever you do something like start a quest or a link party. What's going to happen is that the chat will automatically switch over to just the participants of that quest or that party, and you'll stop being notified of the general lobby chatter. And I think that will improve the feeling of whenever you start something with just your friends or other players, that it limits the range of who you're going to hear stuff from.
On it, yeah. The sticker spam in particular was something that I got a few messages about, and I watched a few streams during the open beta, and that was definitely something that people would have liked to adjust. So it's great to hear that's happening. Something that I was really pleasantly surprised by when booting up the open beta were all the options for the different HUD display, to have it bigger, to adjust it whether you're sitting at a TV or you're sitting at a desk.
A big thing was that people wanted
but
to
even with that, I think there are additional areas where that could be improved. So what are our plans in the full game to adjust the HUD even further?
ハードの表示についてですけど、OBD 段階でもすでにテレビ向けの大きさやデスク向けの大きさの設定があったりして、かなり細かく入ってたと思うんですけど、さらに製品版に向けてハードの表示のオプションを追加しようと思っているのでしょうか。
そうですね。まずオプション以前にですね、そもそもの表示の部分で、武器の、固有の表示だったりだとか、一部の要素の大きさなど、見やすさに関わる調整っていうのは、入れていって、より見やすく、しています。
Well, firstly, even before we get into the idea of options you can change, I am looking at feedback on the size of the specific weapon, unique UI elements that each weapon has. And we're going to review those and make sure that by the time the game comes out, that the relative sizes of all those elements is going to make sense for everyone.
Yeah, make Charge Blade bigger.
のアップデートで、
The Charge
オ
Blade
プションなどの拡充というの
icons
も
need to be
随時
bigger.
検討しております。
As for additional UI options, we're considering if we can add any in future post-launch updates. So stay tuned on that.
Nice. Watch this space. Now, thank you so much for answering all these questions so far, Tokuda-san. And, we are getting near the end of the pre-launch community update stream. So I have one small question that you may have seen amongst the community and one that Joe and I see everywhere. And, let's just between us, we'll keep it between us. Is there going to be another open beta test before launch?
こちらからの最後の質問になるんですけど、毎日のようにコミュニティマネージャーの方のDM や
Watch him just say
インボックスにも入ってる質問なので、どうしても聞かせてほ
What
しい
if
ん
you
で
just
す
said
が、
no?
ここだけの話、ぶっちゃけ OBT はまた次回遊べる機会があるのでしょうか。教えてください、徳田さん。
完全に良道さんとかが答えるよう
It's
な
like Ryoza says no.
だと
That's
思うん
what
で
he's
すけど
saying.
も、
Ryoza
特
said
別
no.
にお答えすると、検討自体は、しています。ですがもし追加の OBT を実施するとしてもですね、基本的には前回の OBT を遊べなかった方だったりだとか、その追加の、項目テストが、主な目的となりますので、今日お話したような、内容っていうのは基本的に製品版とか Day1 パッチ向けの対応になっていますので、OBT には反映されない形になります。ちょっとその点はご了承いただきたいです。
And that's the kind of question where I'm used to leaving out to Ryozo, who'll be here with us, and he can answer that kind of high-level decision. But since you've asked, I will address that. We are considering if we will bring back the open beta test, but I would need to make clear that would purely be essentially another chance for players who missed it the first time around to get a chance to try the game
So
again.
it's not a
we
new
might
beta.
maybe be able to add a couple of additional options here or there for people to try out. It wouldn't be something where all the various detailed weapon adjustments we've discussed today would be included. Those are strictly being worked on the basis of including them in the full game, including the day one patch. So again, it's something we haven't ruled out yet, is bringing back the open beta test, but Please wait for the full game to come out in order to experience all the wonderful changes we've discussed today. And hopefully you can understand why we've had to separate those two considerations.
So, if
All right, yeah, well, we'll have to stay
Okay,
tuned
I'll talk
for
after
the future
after the end, 'cause they're
for
probably
any
gonna
news.
finish soon.
We have covered so much today. I think this has been quite a long stream already. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you'd like to discuss before we wrap things up?
Yeah, it's probably the
結
old
構
build. That's
長
the
時間に
thing.
かけていろんな詳細について教えてもらえたのですごく良かったですが、逆に徳田さんの方からジョノたちからの質問でカバーできていないポイントがあればこの機会にどうぞ教えてください。
はい、この前のメディアプレビューツアーのインタビューでちょっと一つ、言い間違いをしたところがありますので訂正させていただきたいです。
Yeah, there's actually something, it's not so much new information, but I want to have the chance to clarify and maybe make up for a misstatement I might have made during some of the press interviews that we had about the game. So that's something I'd like to discuss now.
サポートハンターが傷を壊さないオプションがあるというふうに言ってしまったんですけど、そちらは電話には入らない形になります。
I think in at least one interview I said that there would be an option in the game where you could set it so that the support hunters who can join you via the SOS flare would not go and break wounds for you, that they'd leave that for you. And that's something that actually won't be in the game on day one.
発売日の仕様としては、プレイヤーが
But that
傷
option
を
was
つけ
in
て
the
からしばら
beta.
くの間、壊さないんですけど、1分以上ある程度経つとですね、
Wasn't that
集
option
中
in the
弱点
beta,
攻撃を
Gaijin?
使用して傷を破壊
I'm pretty
する
sure
こと
that
が、
option was in the
発生
beta.
するようになります。
So the way it's going to work at launch is that if you inflict a wound, but you, for whatever reason, you're not really proactively breaking that wound with your own
They'll break
focus
it in
strike,
the end.
and a certain amount of time passes, maybe a minute or more passes, and you
Okay.
still haven't gone for it, that's the point at which the
It's
support
the-
hunters will start to look to use a focus strike to break
It's
the
the
wound
same
for you.
thing. It's the same thing that
そう
happens
サ
in
ポートハン
Sunbreak,
ターの、
where
キ
if
ャラ
you
クターによ
don't
って
mount,
壊しやす
the
いだっ
other
たり
hunters
壊し
will
にくい
mount.
だったり、あ
So
と
it's the same
乗りやす
thing.
い
That's fine.
乗りにくいだったり、
That's perfectly
先
fine,
行玉を使ってくれやすいみたいな、行動特性というのはキャラクターによって異なります。
As a matter of fact, that's
That's
convenient.
something that's sort of unique to each support hunter's personality, though. Each character has a slightly different approach and an AI working for them. So whether or not they're quicker on the draw with focus strikes or less so, it also applies to other features like how often they might try and mount a monster, whether they find mounting harder, whether they're busting out things like flash pods more often or less often. Those all kind of depend on the character themselves. So it's not something that's going to happen on a strict schedule, no matter what.
どのサポートハンターに来てほしいかという指定は、発売時はできないんですけど、タイプトルアップデートでは、検討しております。
So the option that I'm looking to add, perhaps in a title update after launch, is letting players specify which NPC support hunters can join them and which ones they don't want to join them. So that's how I intend to add the ability to control the frequency of that particular feature.
Okay.
あと細かいことですけど、Day1 パッチだとお供とかサポートハンターが、サインを、送ると自分のところに、来てくれるようになって、ちょっと便利になってます。
Relatedly, one additional feature I wanted to confirm was when you use the signal, this sort of ping that you activate through the menus, the palicos and the support hunters will come to your side during a hunt. So that's just a little quality of life feature that we've added.
Oh, that's really, really cool. And yeah, thank you for the little tidbits of information there. We really appreciate it, Tokuda-san. And with that, I think we will kind of come into the end of our pre-launch community update. So we hope you've all enjoyed it. Joe, anything you want to say before we pass over to Tokuda-san and Patrick?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody out there for sharing their feedback. I know we say a lot that we are listening, and hopefully you guys feel that way after seeing all the updates here. And definitely want to take the chance to thank Tokuda-san for joining us. This has been super informative, and I know you're super busy, and the team is extremely busy getting the game ready for launch. So we very much appreciate it, and I'd like to toss it over to you for any closing remarks here.
今日は非常に珍しい機会として直接いろんなお話を聞けて、徳田さんにはこの発売直前のご多忙中の時期にこれだけお時間いただいて非常に感謝しております。最後に徳田さんからユーザーへのメッセージなどあればお願いします。
はい、まず このような直接ユーザーの皆さんに声を届ける機会を作ってくれた、ジョーとジョの、パトリック、またサポートをしてくれた皆さんに、感謝、申し上げます。
Firstly, let me take the chance to thank you guys, Jono and Joe, the community managers, as well as Patrick. It's always slightly weird to refer to yourself when you're translating, but let me go with it. Thank you for your support in setting up this opportunity today.
イギリスとアメリカ、日本と、3拠点で時差も大きい中、すごく大変な作業だと思っていますが、ありがとうございました。
Yeah, we're working across 3 time zones here. So I'm in Tokuda-san, that is in Japan. Jono and Patrick are in the UK, and Joe is in the US. So it's difficult to coordinate across so many time zones. So thank you for your work on that.
また改めまして、OBT に、ご参加いただき、様々なご意見をいただきましたハンターの皆さんに、感謝申し上げます。OBT ではたくさんの声をいただいてからですね、チームの働きだったり製品のクオリティの向上というのは、本当に目覚ましいものがありまして、今もそれが続いています。ご期待いただけるってことがこんなにも力になるんだなってことを、改めて実感しています。
Just another, to repeat my previous sentiments, thank you so much to all the players who took part in the OBT. It's such a valuable opportunity for us to get your feedback and hear your voices, and we've taken that back to the team. It's become great motivation for them to keep working on the game's quality as we reach the final stages of development. And from what I've seen, they're doing great things, and there's some really great eye-opening stuff happening with the game, and we're continuing to work on that. So again, thank you for the opportunity to implement your feedback in the game.
It really is a pleasure. And once again, to echo Joe, thank you to Tokuda-san for your time. We know how incredibly busy yourself and the team are. Thank you, Patrick, for translating for us today.
You'll get some hearts in chat for the Monster Hunter team.
Us at Gamescom. And, from all of us here as well, thank you to you, the community, our awesome players. I mean, your feedback from the beta, your patience, your passion, it really is incredible. So thank you so much. And does anyone have any ideas the best way to round this off? Joe, perhaps?
We wouldn't dare do a happy hunting across multiple time zones. You'll see the lag, but we should do it. We should try it, right?
All right. Are you going to shoot?
Much love to the Capcom team for the
ちょっと最後
feedback.
にどうしてもタイムラグが発生すると思うんですけど、人狩り行こうぜの英語になるハッピーハンティングで最後の掛け声でカウントダウンの後にお願いします。
OK。
Okay, I'll do the countdown. All right, ready? All right, 3, 2, 1. Happy
hunting!
We tried. Come on, everyone. All right, thank you, everybody. One more.
Well,
Let's just kind of line a little bit.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
happy hunting!
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Honestly, I prefer this type of presentation so much. Like, it's not even remotely close how much more I prefer this style of presentation. Now, I know that a lot of people are going to instantly leave. If you are, make sure to hit the like button before you leave. It's only fair. You were here. We're all hanging out, having a good time. Hopefully you enjoyed our time together. So before you leave, hit the like button. I really appreciate that. Now, we got to talk about a couple of things. Number one, do we prefer this presentation over the more standard, more let's actually do a poll real quick. Let's do a poll. Do we like this better? No. Do it more. What do you call it? No. Scripted is better. Yes. Unscripted is better. I mean, honestly, I like both, but I kind of really like these more long-form discussions. But that's because I'm a huge fan of podcasts. I mean, I produce podcasts, right? I've never seen likes jump up that fast. The community delivers. I am deeply humbled. So first I got to go through some shout-outs. Let me see here. Where was the thing? Give me just a second. Okay, here we go. Shadow Itsuki, thank you very much for becoming Gross Incandescent. Tip of the hat. David Wilson, yes, I would like to Fallen Beast. I would like to fight Fallen Beast Star. Tip of the hat. Appreciate support. Fulminous, where you are an insider confirmed. Thank you very much for the souls. Tip of the hat. Appreciate support. Christopher Clayton, thank you very much for the souls. Tip of the hat. Jonathan, thank you very much for the souls. Tip of the hat. Takuda flipped this off. I'll talk about Takuda. Sketch. Ruri bought and paid for by Big Capcom confirmed. Tip of the hat. Appreciate support. Both my mains, Bo and SNS, got better. Yay. Tip of the hat. Appreciate support. Raiden. Yokonk's kills. Thank you very much for the souls. Tip of the hat. And Angry Kangaroo. Thank you very much for the souls. Tip of the hat. Appreciate support. Just want to say I always appreciate your streams. Thank you, Rurikhan. Thank you guys for showing up. So we got a couple of things that I want to go over. So most of you do seem to agree that you prefer the unscripted version of the presentations, which is cool. Official announcement is still good. Yeah. But I think that they should add this as something more into their roster rather than take the other ones away. Like, I think that this is something that is really good. The whole almost live letter-like presentation style that they give here, I really, really like it. I like long-form discussion. It gives us so much more news. So now we're going to talk about a couple of things that happen. I want to go over the slides. So performance, I think that's kind of like a W all around. They've even said, by the way, that the performance on PlayStation 5 is going to be better. There's going to be 60 FPS. The one thing that I would say is that I don't know if it's a bitrate thing or not, but like it wasn't very clear as to how much better this is going to be, because it's very blurry. Like if I actually bring us over to presentation mode here, you guys will see that this is quite blurry. So I don't know. I need to see this actually in gameplay to get like a better idea of what's going on. But it's definitely better than it was in the beta in terms of just like visual fidelity and stuff, because in the beta there was a lot of like checkerboarding and shit and you could see it. Now it's actually using FSR. But again, we'll have to actually see it in the final version, right? Then we have some more about performance. They've said that potentially the minimum requirements for PC are going to be lowered. The minimum and recommended requirements for PC are going to be lowered, which means they're still optimizing the PC version. Like I've already said, I have faith. I don't know if it's going to run flawless or not, but I believe that the Monster Hunter team can do it. Wait, what the hell? Oh, don't cancel me out of this. I'm trying to get some more stuff. Here we go. I did not like this. Hold have put an Infinity Nikki, but here. Gaijin, thank you very much for the souls. Tip of the hat. Appreciate you, brother. Now, as I was saying, the mitigation of friendly fire is actually super interesting, because the way that they showed it is like they've just kept the worst part of friendly fire and they took the fun part of friendly fire away, which is what we see here. So for those of you that don't know, because I know that a lot of people don't like friendly fire, this is what you're getting now. So you're no longer getting the launches from hammers, but you're getting this. So you're still getting bonked and harassed, and you're still getting like thrown to the floor and all of that. Michael Plocker, thank you very much for the souls. Tip of the hat. Appreciate support. So basically, players that want to focus on you and annoy you can still do it, except now there's no upside to doing it. Because before, they could launch you into the air, and you could go from being launched into the air to doing an aerial attack, and now you just get sent to the ground. Which, in my opinion, this is just a straight-up downgrade for everyone. I would much rather that than go away instead of getting launched up. Okay, I got a little bit confused there. Like, to me, this just feels like this change is going to annoy everybody, because it just feels like it's worse for everybody involved. Because now there's no upside to getting launched. Now it's just like, now there's just a downside. If you get hit by a hammer, if you get hit by a wyvern fire, well, wyvern fire was always a downside. But it's like, you know, it's just like, I feel like this is a bad idea, but you know, that's their decision. It is what it is. I would like it to be an option where I could turn this back on and we just be able to launch people. That's something that I personally didn't agree with. Then we have the insect glaive thing. Let me see if we can get to the insect glaive slide. Adjustment of frequency when they can... Okay, here we go. So, insect glaive, W, all around. Most part, insect glaive, big W. Because you get the vaulting back, there's an offset attack on the insect glaive now, all of that, fantastic. I really didn't like the fact that he just said, yeah, the control scheme, it is what it is, we're not changing it, and I'm just like, okay, look, for me, if I want to play insect glaive, this is not a problem, okay? I have these bad boys over here, these paddles, these solve the issue. These 100% solve the issue for me. This is not a problem for me. I want you to understand. This is going to be a problem for players that don't have paddles on their controller. They're kind of screwed. Okay? Old man, I was one of those who waited friendly fire. We asked for something we shouldn't have. You were right all along. From the bottom of my heart, I'm truly sorry for what we've done. I don't know how to pronounce your name in Japanese, but thank you very much for the souls. Tip of the hat. Appreciate the support. But yeah, it's like, I just think that this is going to suck. I didn't see them speed up insect glaive charge and no, it's the same thing. I think that this is going to suck for people that don't have paddles in their controllers and people that aren't playing mouse and keyboard. If you're playing mouse and keyboard, this isn't even going to, you're not even going to notice that this is a problem. If you have paddles on your controllers, you're not even going to notice that this is a problem. Everybody else that wants to play insect glaive on a standard controller, they're kind of screwed. And I don't think that was a good decision by them, but it is what it is. Look, the developers are going to go this way. They're like, listen, you guys got to become better at doing this thing. And I'm just like, I don't think it's a matter of becoming better. I think that in my video, I show that very well. It's not a fact of just get better at playing the weapon. I think it's more like, no, there's clearly conflicting controller inputs for this weapon right now. And if you're playing on a standard controller, you're going to feel that. The developers don't agree with me. That's fine. That's their decision, but I'm not going to agree with what they're saying here. I disagree that this is like, I saw some people in chat saying, literal skill issue. No, I don't agree that it's a skill issue, because if it's a skill issue, why is it that having paddles solves the problem? I don't agree. The same way that if you're playing on mouse and keyboard, you don't have this problem. This is a controller exclusive problem. And they also didn't talk about the focus mode thing that I brought up, which I also think is a major issue that we have right now, and they're not going to change that. To give you guys an idea, I'm actually considering just maining mouse and keyboard. I might just adapt to playing mouse and keyboard and do it that way. Remap buttons, you can't if you're going to remap buttons just to play Insect Glaive, that means that you're only playing Insect Glaive. Otherwise, you're remapping your buttons whenever you're swapping between weapons, which makes no sense. So, I'm genuinely, I'm considering. The thing is, I just think that playing on controller is so much comfier that it's kind of, annoying. Although, to be honest, for the gun lance, it's not as big of a deal, I think, as other weapons. But I definitely think that from a controller standpoint, this is the Monster Hunter game that is going to have the most input problems.
Could be so grossly incandescent.
They still may have changed the control. No, they said they didn't, Kegrin. They specifically said we're not changing anything. They specifically said we're not changing anything. And no, it's not because of Gunlance Wyvern Fire. Don't be an idiot. And thank you very much for the souls being grossing at us for 75 months. Tip of the hat. Appreciate support. Thank you. You'd adjust for other weapons, not just Insect Glaive? Yeah. I don't know about controller, mouse, and keyboard at unique button mapping per weapon on the beta. Interesting. I can't believe we got an offset. Yeah. You got an offset, Cowboy. Congratulations. But the controls on it still kind of suck. So, do you have a controller with paddles, Cowboy? Because that will solve it. I don't know if you've used the paddles previously on Insect Glaive, but I would recommend binding Y and circle. Y and B, actually. I would recommend binding Y and B to the two paddles and use those when you're playing Insect Glaive, and it will feel way better. But yeah, massive buffs for Insect Glaive all around. I mean, yeah, if Tokuda feels that that's the way that it needs to be, it is what it is, but I don't agree. I still don't agree. It's whatever. Raiden, thank you very much for the souls. Tip of the hat, appreciate support. Wishful thinking, but think maybe we'll get a skill in either armor or weapon we can slot that affects the speed of wound lock-on for bow. I could see potentially special shot affecting that, but I don't know, because usually special shot is just a damage thing. Squanch, thank you very much for being roasting with us for 6 months. Tip of the hat, appreciate support. Thank you. I use my paddles for L3 and R3. Well, it is what it is. But, yeah, so that's some of the stuff in the Insect Glaive I don't really agree. I wish that they had done some different stuff on focus mode as well. That's obviously not happening. Let's see, what else? Lance, looking good. I love the changes to Lance. It's a ton of fun. What else do we get? The Switch X thing is weird to me. And by the way, I know that my reaction to this is kind of like visceral because I was just surprised. Because I didn't understand the complaints that they were talking about when it comes to the Switch X. This is weird to me. Drummer King Rules, thank you very much for the souls. Tip of the hat, appreciate support. Thank you. It's like, number one, I don't agree with so many weapons being given straight out hyper armor. Because, like, to me, capitalizing on punishing a monster is all about, you knowing where the openings are. That is a skill expression. And Capcom just coming over to the Switch X and saying, oh, you know what? The most damaging hit of Switch X now has hyper armor. So you don't have to consider whether or not you have a long enough opening to punish the monster? I don't understand. And a lot of people are like, oh, you just don't like that they're buffing other weapons. I don't care. I care about the intent. I've already said I don't care how balanced weapons are in Monster Hunter. I've said it multiple times. I don't care if the bow's broken beyond belief. I've stopped caring about this a long time ago. I care about the design implications of what they're doing specifically to full release Slash, as well as the design implications for them saying that, like, oh, sword mode was too hard to charge up. It's like, what? What? You can get the sword mode in seconds. What? How's it going to work now? You slap the monster once with the axe and it's fully charged up? I don't understand. I don't understand that philosophy. Not to mention that I kind of feel like one of the things, and correct me if I'm wrong here, this is from my interpretation of what I've heard from the community in Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. But a lot of people told me during those days when, Switch X mains, during Sunbreak told me, I like the fact that there's a reason for me to be in Axe mode right now. And it kind of feels like that reason is kind of gone. Like, right now, Switch X, and again, I could be wrong, I'm not a Switch X main, but it seems to me like what you want to do with Switch X right now is you want to be in sword mode 24/7 if you can. It seems like what you want is like, no, Axe mode is just the cooldown for sword mode. Am I getting that wrong? Because that's the vibe that I'm getting from Wild Switch X. It feels like Axe mode is the cooldown for sword mode. Sword mode's on cooldown, so I have to be in Axe mode, and that's it. You can't spam full release anyways. Hyper armor on it's fine. What do you mean? So basically, if you can't spam your ultimate move, then hyper armor on it's fine. Would you say it's fine for super amped elemental discharge to have hyper armor? For wyvern fire to have hyper armor? I don't think that makes sense. If we can just keep going down the list. It's like, okay, so level 3 charged golf swing, that has hyper armor? True charge slash has hyper armor? Because we can keep going down the list. How does this make sense? Right? That's the thing. It's a weird thing when your power, because like right now, the move, God damn it. Right now, the most powerful move in the longsword, that has hyper armor. Now they swapped so that the most powerful move in the switch axe, that has hyper armor. Potentially, Wyvern Fire, that might get hyper armor. And I don't want that. People are like, oh, if this was on the gun lance, you'd be celebrating it. No! As a matter of fact, you might be quick to point out, well, you could block with Wyvern Fire while you were doing Sunbreak. And there's a very big difference between blocking and hyper armor. There's a massive difference, okay? Blocking means you can get interrupted. You can get pushed out of your attack if you are blocking. Hyper armor just means the attack goes off no matter what. I don't think that giving hyper armor to a move like full release slash makes sense. Full release slash is a move that you should be using to capitalize on a big opening. But again, that's just me. But it seems like Monster Hunter Wilds is going on a very different direction than what I expected. Hyper armor when you get cart. I don't think you're going to get carted. This is going to be low rank and high rank. It's impossible to spam full release slash because you need to hit with the axe to charge the sword. Nobody's talking about spamming it. I'm talking about using it when it makes sense. Not just being like, well, the gauge is up. Time to do full release slash. Oh, but the monster's queuing up an attack. Good. That means that I'm going to tank through the attack and hit the full release slash. Depends, bro. Hyper armor implies the user take damage, so if the damage is high enough, there's a risk. I still don't like it. I don't think it makes sense, especially if they bring something like lifesteal back, like we've had in World. I always call it health regen. If they bring health regen back, that makes even less sense, because you're just going to be trading with monsters because you have hyper armor. Hyper armor doesn't mean invincibility. I'm sorry, did you take that much damage from getting smacked in the face by monsters in the Wilds beta? Health is a resource? Okay, so let me just get this clear. You guys are actually arguing in favor of hyper armor for every finishing move in the game? Is this what we're arguing for? I'm just trying to understand. Are we arguing that every major finishing move in a weapon should have hyper armor? Because, I mean, if full release slash is getting hyper armor, as far as I'm concerned, Wyvern Fire should get hyper armor. Whatever, what's it called in the bow? Forget the name of it. The penetrating arrow. Crap. It's not Dragon Fire. Whatever, you guys know what I'm talking about. Then Dragon Thing, that should get hyper armor. Then, big attacks from... all the big attacks from all the other weapons should get hyper armor. Dragon Piercer. Yeah, that's it. Because I don't think this makes sense. No, but having it by default isn't bad. I don't agree. The convo is Switch X, not all weapons. Well, I've played Switch X. Pulling off full release slash is not hard. Like, I feel like a lot of people are coming at this like, oh man, it was impossible to get full release slash before. It's like, I did plenty of full release slashes. This was not hard. I don't think it makes sense. Pull. You guys want pull? Okay. Full release slash hyper armor. Good. Bad. Let's see where we stand. Learn opening is part of the game, always was. That's the point. It's like, We're removing the inconvenience. Well, we're actually not removing the inconvenience of friendly fire now that we see the way that they're planning it. It's not removing the inconvenience. It's just removing the fun part of friendly fire. So never mind. I was going to bring something up. It's pointless to bring it up now. You're slippery sloping your own argument. I don't see FRS having hyper as that problematic. Bro, you also don't see losing friendly fire as being a big problem or longsword having hyper armor on their finisher attack as a big problem. Hyper armor for finishing moves in general should be the poll. Yeah, but we're only talking about Switch Axe because we don't know anything about the other weapons at this point. It's only one attack on one weapon so far. No, it's 2 attacks on 2 weapons. Longsword also has hyper armor on their finishing attack as well. Switch Axe always been the weapon with least mins in the Fiend's game. Silas, thank you very much for the souls. Tip of the hat, appreciate support. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, you need to have a vid extender. You've always needed to have a vid extender for proper Switch Axe, in my opinion. I think this is just a game that shouldn't have any hyper armor. You're getting hit by giant monsters. Agreed. I completely agree. Do a pull for longsword hyper armor, specifically this thing. Yeah, longsword even has like hyper armor on 2 of its moves. Full release happens after zero sum discharge. Yes, no. Full release slash, you can go from neutral to doing a full release slash if you just hold down. Is it right trigger or left trigger? I forget. I think it's right trigger. I think it's the same input as Wyvern Fire. So you can basically, if you're charged up and you're good to go, you can hold the buttons down and boom. You never needed a Veda extender, it's just quality of life. Tell that to Fatalis. I think canceling out of longsword finish move is more of a problem than hyper armor though. I don't know. So it seems like the community is very divided on this. Again, I'm not saying that I'm right, by the way. I just, it's a change that I personally don't agree with. And there's going to be a lot of changes like this, I feel, for Wilds. I think that Wilds is going to have a lot of controversial changes that I'm not going to be a big fan of. But, like I said, I'm super hyped for the game. I'm going to play the game. I'm going to love it. It is what it is. Can you show the Switch Axe gameplay again? Sure. So they made it easier to do the counter. Like, look at how long you can stay in that. And the other counter comes off so fast. Like, look, bam. So the counter is faster, more responsive. And this is the full release slash, which as you can see is done from neutral. And he just straight up powers through a Chatakabra punch. This is like a punch that would knock you down, I think. It just completely ignores the punch, goes right through. And he didn't even take that much damage from it. Then again, Chatakabra hits like a girl, so... Okay, that was very sexist of me. Chatakabra hits like a child. Does that help? Maybe. A child that is not martially inclined. Bam. He barely felt that. Telling Gammoth on you. Yeah. It's a Chatakabra. Like, what about going through a Ray Dao beam? I don't like the counter still takes damage. Counter doesn't take damage. What? It takes very little damage. Neglect it. It's like a blocking chip damage. Welcome to blocking. Didn't you guys always say that blocking's easy mode? The disrespect. Guys, if Longsword didn't have hyper armor and foresight, it would lose like all of the value because you can't finish like half the combos. Sure. Think this is just a result of a larger audience. What the community liked about Monster Hunter before was due to it catering to a smaller audience, catered to more than just big moves. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there is some design decisions here that I personally don't agree with, but we'll see. We'll see what it's like in the final game. You need to read those caps by shouting. That's what chat does with caps. No. Yeah, Force That Slash doesn't have hyper armor. It has iframes. It's two very different things. Sword and Shield. I mean, Sword and Shield just looked better overall. I don't have a whole lot to comment on that. Looks like the hit stop is there a little bit more at least. It's not as floaty as it was in the beta, so that feels nice. I just don't know how we're gonna do sliding slash. I guess rising slash will be from neutral. I definitely like the new perfect rush. That looks good. I feel like a lot of their criticisms came from new players of Monster Hunter games, and their concerns are invalid just as a result of playing a more difficult game than what they usually play. I don't know. I don't know how they're analyzing the community feedback. I don't know what is going on, but there's good changes in here, and there's some changes that I don't agree with. It is what it is. Sliding slash with Sword and Shield was done by using focus mode. I don't think people should be invalidating the thoughts of new players. I'm not. How do you feel about the weapon skills, Rui? That is actually something that I think is going to be very interesting. Because I think they're greatly reducing the amount of skills we're going to be able to have in our armor. So that's actually something that I liked a lot. Like, no joke, I'm super excited for this. I'm still very hesitant, because I feel like one of the things that this system has a potential to do is it might get us to a point where, okay, this is the meta weapon because this is the weapon that will deal the most damage. I think that the system might get us to that point. Like somebody pointed out in chat, so the best gun lance is going to be whichever one has artillery in its skills. And it's definitely going to be one of the gun lances that I will craft, but I don't think that that is an accurate statement because raw damage is going to play a much bigger role this time around than artillery did in the previous games, because a lot of the moves of the gun lance are interweaved with melee attacks. So that means, yes, shelling is important. No, shelling is not as important as it used to be, and you can actually start looking at the gun lance as a more traditional melee weapon. That's the idea that I'm getting from the gun lance. So, yeah. Now, this is going to be more restricting in terms of builds, but I think it's going to be very interesting to see the builds that are going to come out of this, because I think a lot of people are going to be real mad because they're going to be like, I need critical eye, and I need attack up, and I need Wex, and I need crit boost, and I can't get them. And those people are going to be really mad. And I'm going to be sitting over there with a gun lance that has like, I don't know, fucking focus or something stupid. And I'm like, I'm so happy right now. This is so great. I gotta feel like that's what's going to happen. Like, no joke. I think that there's going to be a lot of players that are going to come in and be like, I need my crit boost and my Wex and my tech boost and my peak performance, and I can't get it anymore. And that will make me very happy. I'm so hyped for the limiting of offensive skills. Absolutely, dude. And you know what's going to be interesting? Here's what I want to see. I want to see players who take comfort skills outperforming meta players that want to get the crits and the Wexes and all of that bullshit. I want to see that. Glass cannon hunters in shambles. What's your opinion on the melody changes? I understand where they're coming from with the melody changes, and I think it makes sense. So basically, now you become more powerful if you are using the hunting horn, and if you're trying to pocket horn, you're going to be less powerful. I think that's fine. I love that the skills level up and add on to the weapon tree. I think that's a cool feature. It'll be definitely interesting. It'll be interesting to see how that works. Especially if you can't complete this critical eye from your armor selection. And you can see that there's only going to be 3 slots on weapons. That's going to be very, very limiting. It's going to be very limiting and very interesting. You're going to have to work within the confines of very few skills, I think. Can we have a solemn moment for Bow? Bow is fine. Their focus strike got nerfed, which, to be honest, the way people were popping off that focus strike was downright obscene. If you see the damage that thing was doing in open beta, it was redonkulous. It was very little setup to actually do, and then it's just like, yep, here comes the big damage dragon pierce, and all the wounds, it was like a friggin' warhead landed on the monster, and it just exploded in wounds and blood and guts. It was actually like whenever the bow would shoot its focus strike, it was like the monster explodes into giblets. Like, we're talking Doom levels, okay? That's what was happening with the bow. Let's just be real. Phil Daddy Cool Moore, thank you very much for the souls. Tip of the hat, appreciate support. If you're worried about things being too easy, you should hope they don't add the temporal mantle back. Oh, I hope they don't. Absolutely, I don't want temporal mantle back. It kept stealing everyone's wounds, which is a nightmare for Charge Blade and Insect Glaive who want them mechanically. Absolutely, like, from a priority standpoint, Insect Glaives should always be the first ones to get wounds, with Charge Blades being the second ones to get wounds, from what I've seen of the game so far. And for Temporal, with 3 times duration, just gets pure hyper armor, so you don't even dodge, you just ignore damage. All the armor skills isn't going to lead to less meta, like, yeah, the community, but doesn't this make more armor viable? Maybe. We'll see. No, I always get them. Me that plays solo, all wounds are mine. I play solo 99% of the game, so that part doesn't mean much to me. I like that the NPCs will follow their moods and not configs. Yeah, that's cool too. But anyways, I'm super happy about this presentation. I'm going to be trying to do like a video summary of everything that they talked about here for people that didn't watch the stream. That video might be a little bit delayed though, because I have to take my kid to jiu-jitsu soon. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to get all of that done. But yeah, for now, that's going to be it. If you guys enjoyed the stream, hit the like button. I really, really enjoyed hanging out with you guys. Thank you all very much for hanging out with me. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe. Peace out. Big hunter.